just rock this out, or how does that?
I got the captain's seat. I'm riding shotgun.
That's right.
Gotta guess though.
Straight as always. Right? And how about 11-year NFL veteran Bart Scott gracing us?
Hey, what's up, Bart? What up? Thanks.
Terrorizing offenses.
Get me out the house.
For 11 years, you've played here in the big city, and we've got a really big game in a couple of hours tonight on the East Coast. So let's get right to it. Pumped up and ready to go for a little TNF time for the
Elite Block.
All right. Thanks so much, Kyle.
Fired up.
Kim Jones, the forecast not looking great, but let's kick it off talking about the G-Men. They're at home, and they do get a big piece of their defense back tonight. Olivier Vernon. What does his presence mean for the Giants and for Carson Wentz, too?
Well, you anticipate him having a big impact on his own team, Kay, that's for sure. In preseason, Olivier Vernon was the Giants' best player on the field. Now, you might say, well, why does that matter? It matters because the Giants were adjusting to a new scheme, James Bettcher's scheme, and Vernon was excelling in that scheme, which seemed to suggest good things ahead. Instead, he missed the first 5 games because of a high ankle sprain. He will make his debut tonight, and he can certainly help a Giants defense that has only 6 sacks on the season total. There are individual players in this league with 6 sacks. The Giants have 6 as a team. But as you noted, Carson Wentz, under pressure this season, and he's made 3 starts. He is one of the best in the league at handling that pressure. So an interesting cat and mouse game tonight. Vernon off the edge. Carson Wentz perhaps under pressure where he has dealt with it very well. And Kay, as you noted, we may have some weather today. There are tarps out on the field. They're still rolled up, but they are on the field as if they're going to be put into use.
And if they are, Kim, I will be there on the field for pregame. And if you want to get a little slip and slide action on those tarps, we can do it. Listen,
that would be a good way to
up
wrap
the week. We'll talk to you a little bit later. We'll talk to you, Kim Jones, in a little bit. We are just a couple of days removed from Odell sitting down with Weezy F Baby and Josina Anderson with those comments that he made. And we've heard everybody chime in. We'd love to give you an opportunity to sort of fill us in on your thoughts and what you make. You know this New York market very well.
Well, I'll tell you what, when I first heard the comments and some of the leaked type of statements that he made, I was like, well, it doesn't seem that bad. But when I saw the interview and I saw it was a lot of eyes, he was pointing a lot of fingers and not really pointing the thumb. And I think he really, as a leader, he's trying to learn to become a leader. You think about, him saying, I'm trying to learn how to become a leader. And I'm saying at 25, you don't learn how to become a leader. You're pretty much who you are. And, $90 million they gave him. He said he's put on his good boy hat. He's done all the right things, made a lot of personal sacrifices. Well, they gave you $90 million for it. And I listened to some of his comments talking about 20 yards down the field, Eli struggling. We all know that he had the long, awkward pause when asked if Eli was the problem. Well, what did you think you were signing up for? You have an immobile quarterback, and he's looking at really Sean McVay's offense. I think he's looking at, what Kareem Hunt is going through and Tyreek Hill, and he's excited, and he wants that. He's not going to get that. If he wanted that, he should have went to free agency and said, you know what, I'm going to become a free agent. I'm going to put myself in the best situation because, Gettleman's tried, I think they, believe that they were a better team than what they were, and he's got to live with it. And it's only going to get worse because we were sold that Davis Webb was the future. He was Eli Jr. Yeah. He was he had tremendous arm. He's not even on a roster anymore. He's not even on an active roster.
Haven't heard the last of him.
Right. Well, good thing he didn't have to move. He just went over to Florham Park and he's on a practice squad. So, this is what you signed up for. And I think that they're trying to use it to bring themselves together. But he has to sit down and answer some questions from some teammates.
The whole thing was so interesting for me. And now 96 hours later, I look at it and it's like, I don't think the Giants players necessarily saw the interview because the game was an hour later than when it aired. So everyone was asking him in the storyline afterwards, well, it motivated the Giants, got him going. I don't see how it could have motivated them, just the timeline-wise. And if you're Eli Manning, later in the week, he says, I don't really listen to Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne comes out and takes a shot at Eli Manning. Like, Eli's like, I didn't ask for this. Like, what do we? I can't even get out of my own way here. Eli's getting shots up from Lil Wayne this week. It's just a mess.
They didn't want that, Kyle, but they also did not want us, after 5 weeks leading into a Week 6 primetime game, to be talking about their draft. And that's what people are talking about here in New York, in the newspapers, in the media, going back to taking Saquon Barkley number 2 overall with the way that Eli's looked to start this season. So if we were to flip the script, go back, get in the DeLorean and take it back to that day where Baker Mayfield's taken #1 overall and you're the Giants and you have #2.
Knowing what you know.
Knowing what you know. And I will say it's a little early to be having this conversation, but who would you take #2?
1.21 gigawatts. I'm going to stay with Saquon.
Yeah?
I'm going to stay with Saquon just for the simple reason of this. I think they have a future star. I think they have a future superstar. I think they even have a future MVP. And I said all along, going up to the draft, we talked about it a million times. I said, if you're going to take Saquon that early, he better be Adrian Peterson. He better be Adrian Peterson. I think they have Adrian Peterson. He's had a better start to his career than Adrian Peterson.
Okay.
I saw this stat. He has 100 total yards to start first 5 games of his career. 3 people in history have ever done that. And if we had gone back to the Adrian Peterson draft after 5 weeks and said, I don't know, maybe you should take Brady Quinn, maybe you should take Kevin Cobb. Hell no. It had to be that good to take a running back that early, and I think he's that good.
I was a broken record, Triggs, leading into the draft saying at #2 with the Giants, take a quarterback or trade down. Because it's not about Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley, the way he's used in the passing game, the way that Kim Jones has profiled him emerging as a leader like he was at Penn State, that's all going to happen. He could be tremendous at running back. It is the value of the position. It is the durability factor. It is the fact that looking at the numbers through 5 weeks, there are 2 undrafted running backs that have better numbers than the one Saquon's putting up in Phillip Lindsay and in Matt Breida, who was undrafted last year. How many undrafted quarterbacks work out? Kurt Warner, Tony Romo, that's it. There's a window here. I think, like you said, had a lot of faith in Eli working out in this short window. So far, it's not working out, Triggs.
Yeah, and it's a passing league now. It's a quarterbacks league. I think the game has changed since Adrian Peterson. Honestly, even in the last 5-6 years, you need to have that guy under center. And there was 4 of them that were at their disposal. Whether they didn't like Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen or Sam Darnold or Josh Rosen, I would think you don't want to be at the #2 position overall again. And if you ever are going to take a quarterback, that's an ideal spot to be. So Sam Darnold might be right down the road the next 15, next 20 years, whatever it is. And I think that's going to be a constant reminder. This is, again, like Kay said, it's nothing against Saquon Barkley. He's a really good running back, and he's going to be talented. I just think with seeing how Eli's played now, 4 weeks into the season for the Giants, or 5 weeks, they're 1-4. Eli's been missing guys. And to know that there is no future succession plan and that they could have had someone at #2 overall.
Wouldn't you agree, Peter? It's a passing league. They drafted their #1 running back and their #2 receiver. He's an incredible, incredible receiver. He's the second best receiver on the team.
That's true.
Odell. And it's total yards. The game is changing, Bucks. Okay. Total yards.
So what I've heard, right, is Saquon is a generational talent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if he's a generational talent, Ezekiel Elliott was a generational talent. Todd Gurley was a...
How many generations he got, right?
Exactly. Leonard Fournette last year was a generational. So what is a generational talent? You look at the value of the position. The Giants had a unique position. They were bad in a year where I believe we were talking about that draft class well before it came out. All of a sudden when they came, everybody wanted to poke holes. Well, how do they look right now? And the worst case scenario was that you passed on a quarterback and you gave the New York Jets their franchise quarterback right across town. So when Eli exits, who's the guy that's going to take the football and lead this team? You talk about quarterback. You talk about quarterback hell. So you have to suck again for another 3-13 season to try and hope that you can move up. And then we've seen guys move up and take guys that didn't work out. You had an opportunity to have your bridge quarterback. You had your opportunity to be Indianapolis, move from a Hall of Fame quarterback potentially to another one.
Or trade down.
You could have been Green Bay. I mean, I don't even think that Saquon's the best running back in this draft. I was on record in saying that I believe that Sony Michel was the most complete running back in this draft because he was a guy that when I put on the tape, he was a guy that was able to run in between the tackles. You talk about he basically went against a pro team in the national championship in Alabama, and he was running and averaging almost 6 yards per carry. Now you're going to be stuck in what Gettleman called quarterback hell. Where do you go from there? So now you have a great running back, but now they're going to stack the box. Nobody to push these guys back.
What's Saquon have to do to prove you wrong then?
He can go to the Hall of Fame. Adrian Peterson's going to be in the Hall of Fame. How many titles have Adrian Peterson had?
They got to get a
How many
quarterback.
games? How many playoffs have?
Yeah, Christian Ponder as quarterback though.
But that's what I'm saying. You need a quarterback. This is a quarterback league.
Eli needs to play better. Right?
Eli's like what?
Fixes everything.
He can't play better at this point.
You see how old the quarterback is in the league right now?
Right.
So if Fitzpatrick did to start the season,
he's a limited quarterback.
Yeah.
he can't boot. He's not a sprint out guy, and you don't have the pieces around him to be successful. Eli, at this point in his career, is a finishing piece. He's not a building block. And so what's happening is now they're having an identity crisis right now. They thought they were so much better than what they really were. This is a flawed roster. This is a roster that doesn't really have any depth. So anybody go down, it's just going to be just like dominoes falling.
Trace, wouldn't they have had to have won the division, gotten into the playoffs, and be competitive this year? And I'm not saying that that's
justify
impossible.
the pick?
In this division, I mean, when they took
Kyle's
Saquon,
point.
I said, okay, now you have to go win the Super Bowl because now you have Eli for whoever knows how long, and you added that one piece instead of planning for your future. They could have traded down and gotten Allen and then gotten something else, like some more picks later in the draft.
The Colts went from the 3 pick down to the 6 pick, got Quentin Nelson, who everyone thinks is a future Hall of Famer, and about 7 second-round picks, one of them being Darius Leonard, who leads the league in tackles right now. So you could look at it that way and say there were offers. Why didn't the Giants try to trade back? I will say this. Saquon Barkley and Odell Beckham are still two of the most talented running backs and
100%.
wide receivers in the entire NFL. If they get a Justin Herbert maybe as their next future quarterback, or they get a Tua in a couple of years, I'm saying this is just throwing darts out there. This is not the ideal situation, but let's not close the book on that pick working out a couple of years down the road, because you can have a great offense starting off with a running back and receiver and then eventually get the quarterback.
I've closed it.
Yeah.
Eventually get the quarterback. Listen, I waited 11 years and I never got my quarterback.
Ooh.
Listen, you can be searching for that for a long time. Ask those people up in Buffalo. They're still waiting for their future quarterback. Ask Miami. They're still waiting for their future quarterback. Because a lot of people still waiting for that future quarterback. They had an opportunity to make a smooth transition from a Hall of Fame quarterback potentially to a franchise quarterback, and they dropped the ball. Unless they plan on being 3-13, which at this point we don't know, who knows?
In my opinion, it's a little early to have a conversation, but that might change after tonight.
Bart Scott, welcome to the table, baby.
Don't look at me like that.
just
It is a
telling
huge
you.
game tonight, right? Classic
Oh, it
rivalry in the division, taking over the East Coast. Carson Wentz and the reigning Super Bowl champion.
Ever line up under center for the New York Jets. He's the only 2-time NFL Comeback Player of the Year award winner. He has the second highest completion percentage in NFL history, behind only Drew Brees. And he was a 1999 Heisman finalist at Marshall as well. Please welcome to the breakfast table. We're happy to have him, Chad Pennington.
Hey, Chad. What's up, man?
Chad, you have taken on this incredible task down in Lexington, Kentucky, where you are starting a high school football program from basically scratch. Can you tell the audience about it and what brought you to that goal?
Absolutely. It actually started academically, just looking for a school in Lexington, Kentucky that would be great for my boys to really further their education. And I saw that football was non-existent at the school. It hasn't been there since 1976.
Wow.
And so about 2 years ago, I approached the school, talked to them about it. We started to discuss it. And they finally said, well, if we're going to do this, you've got to lead the charge. And so it's been a great experience. And I've always tried to just keep it about the kids because they was what matters. My father being a coach for 30 years in high school, I understood the importance of what football can do for a young student athlete. I grew up on a Friday night bus. And so it's been so fun to watch these kids develop and watch them be the pioneers of a football program.
What's the school and the team called?
The school is Sayre School. It was founded in 1854, and it's a small school. And so when I looked at it academically, as well as it being small, I really believe in multiple sport participation and student athletes being able to play multiple sports. And so this would give the opportunity to do that as well. So it's been a great experience.
You said your dad was a coach. You also played for some of the great NFL coaches, both now current and also who have coached. Herm Edwards, right? Doug Marrone was your coach. Todd Haley was your coach. Todd Bowles. We can go through the list. Ken Wisenhunt, Dan Quinn, and of course the late Tony Sperano. Which of those coaches do you look at and say, that was my guy, that's the one that I really leaned on in my NFL career?
Well, certainly in the professional ranks, I have two, and that would be Herm Edwards and Tony Sperano. And I think the reason is because they truly understood the people part of the game. We get caught up in the X's and O's and schemes, but it's a people industry. And those two coaches really understood the relationship part between coach and player. And I always tried to make sure as a quarterback that I understood the messages of the head coach so we could portray those to the team as well as to our fans. And I really respected those two men.
Chad, you got a lot of passion for the game. We have a lot of passion for the 90s. We love the 1990s. I'm going to pull up the 1990 Heisman finalists. Ron Dane, winner. Joe Hamilton, Georgia Tech. Michael Vick, Drew Brees, Chad Pennington.
Yes.
You were a finalist with Drew Brees. He broke the passing record this week, of course. But my favorite play of the season for Drew Brees was down around the goal line with him running the ball. Not passing, but running. Let's bring up the play. Here he is against Atlanta on the road. I'm sure you saw it, Chad. He's running out. Does he slide? Does he throw it out of bounds? He's going to break off a nasty spin move. 2 defenders to score. And everybody was hyping him for that.
Good.
As a show, Chad, I swear, the second it happened the next day, we said, not the greatest quarterback juke we've ever seen. I think you know where I'm going. Give me Chad Pennington in 2002.
Yes.
Roll it for, because we want to decide who scored it better. Chad, take us through it.
So it's 4th down, and it's funny, on NFL films you hear the ball.
Yeah, R2, L2.
That was exactly. That was coined the East Tennessee dead leg, the ugliest move in the history of NFL football, and that's probably why it worked. Almost tripped over myself, but it's funny when you listen to NFL films talk. You can hear the linebackers talk about how Pennington won't. He's not going to run this. They're going to hand it to Curtis Martin.
Yes.
So the surprise factor certainly worked there, but it was ugly.
East Tennessee dead leg.
Yes.
That's my new fantasy
I
game.
love it.
Exactly.
That's it.
I've got
Sorry,
a game
Drew
ball.
Brees. You're over.
As a
game ball.
linebacker, you never lived that down in the film.
Never.
Imagine.
That guy never
leg,
recovered. That guy wasn't never heard of him again.
We just saw Drew Brees there. You mentioned him, but one of your biggest wins, and he's having a great week, Drew Brees, but you got him in 2004. You out-dueled him, and you won to take the Jets over the Chargers, and you were on the same Heisman stage with him as well. Looking back at those years, competing against him, obviously there had to be some sort of camaraderie there. What sticks out to you the most about Drew Brees?
Well, consistency. When you look at his career, and we forget that he had a major shoulder surgery in 2006. And so if anybody knows about shoulder surgeries, it would be me. And so for him to be able to create the consistency that he's created after that shoulder surgery is quite remarkable. And what he's been able to do on and off the field, how he's been able to take his family, go to New Orleans, and be right there in the midst of the fan base and what they've experienced in the last 10 to 12 years it's remarkable. And he's done it the right way. He's such a great guy. And it was always fun competing against him because you knew you had to bring your A game every time.
Now, shifting gears, let's talk about the current Jets quarterback. What's been your evaluation of the rookie and how he's handled playing in this market, and also his natural progression from week to week as far as his maturation period?
Well, I think we all see his potential. And sometimes when you see potential, you get so excited. You want that potential to become reality right now. And it's just not going to, but you can see his poise. You can see his playmaking ability. He has it. And so I think as a fan base, as an organization, the Jets just need to be patient. Be patient with this guy. Enjoy the process of watching him become a professional quarterback, because he's going to be a good one if it's handled correctly. And I've always said that this league sometimes does a terrible job of developing quarterbacks. We have too much arm talent in this league not to get better production. But with this guy, if they handle it correctly and make sure that they put the resources around him, but be patient with him, he'll be just fine.
Maybe no quarterback in the league has been given a better situation from these young guys as Mahomes. He had Andy Reid, he had Alex Smith, he has a bunch of offensive gurus in that room. He's going up to New England for the first time of his career. What would be your advice, having done it so many times with both the Jets and the Dolphins? Patrick Mahomes going into Foxborough, what would you say to the young man?
Well, first of all, enjoy the experience and just try to understand that it's just another game. And I know that's a cliche, but it is for him. But for him, he has been remarkable. His arm talent. I remember coaches and evaluators talking about his arm talent at the combine. And now we're seeing that arm talent. He does things that, quite frankly, most of us can't do. And so that really gives him an X factor and an edge. But just be him and trust his playmakers. He doesn't have to do anything but trust his playmakers, because he certainly has those around him.
Jay, what's more impressive, what he's doing at 23 years old or what Tom Brady's doing at 41? How can you pick one?
Yeah, well, you have to pick 41. I'm 42. I know what that feels like.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Dude, I hear you.
So it's unbelievable, and kudos to him. And it's about consistency still to be able to do it. And what right now with Mahomes, he's 23. They don't have a lot of film on him. Well, they have 18 years of film on Tom Brady, and he's still doing it. He's still doing it week in and week out, and that's really impressive to me.
Chad, you have so much going on. You've also been chosen to be the national ambassador for a brand new college football award, the Mayo Clinic Comeback Player of the Year award. Tell us about this and why it means so much to you.
Well, it's unique. I was able to win the comeback player twice, and so I understand how much energy and time it takes to come back. And when you look at the Mayo Clinic, they're in the business of creating comebacks and being part of a person's comeback, as well as investing in research too. And so this is really a unique opportunity to partner with them and COSIDA, the Sports Information Director Association with College Football, to really acknowledge these young student athletes who are making these remarkable comebacks. On the field, off the field, you have players who are overcoming an injury, as well as maybe a family illness as well. And so it's inspiring. And anytime you're going through a comeback, you need those little pick-me-up stories to kind of give you some inspiration to get through your comeback as well. And so I think it's a unique partnership, and it's going to be really exciting to watch this unfold. We'll have 30 nominees throughout the year. 3 student athletes will be finalists. be acknowledged there at the 2019 PlayStation Fiesta Bowl. So it's quite remarkable what they're doing.
It's remarkable what you're doing. I think we're all inspired by the work you're doing with these young student athletes. But as a comeback expert, we've seen a lot of comebacks this year. J.J. Watt and Aaron Rodgers and Odell. Who has impressed you the most?
Well, I always look at the ones where the comeback and the injury is basically what they do. So when you look at an Andrew Luck dealing with the shoulder, I know what that's all about. Take a look at a Dalvin Cook dealing with the knee for a running back, and J.J. Watt dealing with the back. You look at those injuries because that's their livelihood, a shoulder, a knee for running back. And so it'll be interesting to see. But I'm interested in watching Andrew Luck and Carson Wentz being a quarterback, watching them compete and come back, because people don't understand the energy and the time it takes just to get back to the field, much less trying to compete at a high level. And those two guys are competing at a high level as well.
Chad Pennington, God, it is awesome having you on the show.
So good.
Good luck with everything you're doing.
What's the mascot of the team in Lexington?
Spartans.
The Spartans.
Yes, I was a Spartan in high school as well. So.
Go Spartans.
Sparta.
Love that. Appreciate having you here. We've got Thursday night football hours away, so we're breaking that down with Bart Scott here for a full 3 hours. Reggie Bush joining us at 9.
Hey.
We got to talk Eagles.
Okay.
Eagles on the road. They need a win. Can they turn it around under Carson Wentz? I got an uh-oh out of this guy.
Whoopsies.
Also, hey, what do you make of the Raiders? I don't know. Neither do I.
Hurts, man. I love it.
I'm an 80s baby. You know how we
Hell
roll.
yes.
I'm in the arcade at the mall. I love that. That's fantastic.
Bart Scott's here for
Put that
3
core on.
hours, and he came through. Reggie Bush better come to play.
Reggie always
Third
will.
hour. Will Selva, I'm sure, also dripping this morning. What's up?
Drip.
Yeah, what's going on? Hey, Bart, welcome to the table. Just know that when it comes to news updates, I'm a generational talent. I just want you to know that.
Hey.
Your favorite word, right?
Yes.
Yes.
He's the guy.
I couldn't resist. All right, well, let's get to the news. If you believe any of the reports, Bills running back LaShawn McCoy could be reunited with the Eagles again. It certainly makes sense, given Philly's need for a veteran runner with Jay Ajayi now on the shelf. The trade deadline, of course, is on October 30th. So if the Bills and Eagles are working toward a swap of some kind, both teams would have to do it until that time. Now, McCoy coming off a performance in which he rushed for 85 yards in Sunday's win over the Titans. He's yet to reach the end zone, though, this season. As for a possible trade, head coach Sean McDermott didn't necessarily dismiss the possibility of one.
LaShawn's one of our better players. Thought he had a good game the other day. And really, we're just looking forward to playing the Houston Texans. We get calls all the time. Incoming calls happen all the time. Brandon and I talk a lot, and I won't go into any more detail than that.
So you're confirming that the Eagles did call?
Yeah, I'm not going to go into any more detail than I said.
Is LaShawn McCoy available for trade?
I'm not going into this. Man, this is why, guys, I came out and started where I started. With if you just want to hear the same reply, I'll give you the same reply. All right, so I respect where you're coming from and the jobs you have to do, respect where I'm coming from. He's a valuable member of our football team, and I'm going to leave it at that.
Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin, meanwhile, will have less money in his bank account after criticizing the officiating following Sunday's win over the Falcons. NFL Network's Tom Pelissero reporting the league is fining Tomlin $25,000. Tomlin describing the questionable calls in that game as a, quote, joke. Well, families affected by Hurricane Michael urgently need your support. Help the American Red Cross provide meals and shelter to these families. Donate today by going to redcross.org or text Michael to 90999 to give $10 to American Red Cross Hurricane Relief. And you look at those pictures right there. There is going to be a lot of work that needs to be done in the coming days, weeks, and months. So anything that you can do whatsoever, we ask that you provide and help out. Give any support there to the American Red Cross Hurricane Relief.
The images, the videos that are emerging are truly stunning. So obviously 90999, donating that $10. You can do it once. You can do it as many times as you can. It is the easiest way. You don't have to mess with your credit card information. It puts it right on your bill at the end of the month, and it's just every $10 donation counts. So appreciate you, Will, for bringing that to our attention, and we'll talk to you for more NFL updates a little bit later on in the day. Lots of games. There's one tonight, the Eagles and the Giants at MetLife, but Also this weekend, we are going across the pond, and that's where we find our James Palmer, who's, I believe, at Wembley ahead of this matchup. There he goes, in London. And you're a vet in London. You've been there 3 times. I think this is your 3rd time to cover a game, so you've got the experience, and we are heading over there in a couple of weeks. Let's start off with some advice on how to kill time on that long flight.
Yeah, I'll help you guys out. We are here at Wembley Stadium just getting set up. Remember, this game got moved over from Tottenham over to Wembley Stadium. Still a lot of work to get done before Sunday. But let's get to this flight that you have to go over and come over to this side of the pond. Now, my recipe, I think it's for success. A couple of cocktails, a movie or 2 is kind of where I like to start things off. And then you got to hit the sheets the rest of the way through. I will say on this flight over, I was walking in my seat. A woman who was sitting middle said, "Oh, you're going to be the guy I'm going to be drooling on for the next 9 hours." You don't want to start your flight out like that, Kay. But I did download Friday Night Lights, a little Tim Riggins, a little Matt Saracen. That's a good way to get started. But as I said, stay up the rest of the flight because you want to stay up the rest of the day and go to sleep at normal evening hours. That's what Pete Carroll wants to do with his team that's going to be landing within the hour, guys. And he's going to have them go through a light walkthrough and then stay up the rest of the time. He consulted with his former defensive coordinator, Gus Bradley. Remember, he came over with the Jaguars 4 years as the head coach. That's where they sat down and came up with their plan. Raiders coming tomorrow. But again, stay awake. That's the biggest thing.
Love Friday Night Lights. Love Coach Taylor. Love Buddy Garrity in the cars. Love them all. But John Gruden now is the guy I want to talk about. First time the Gru Dog, as Sean McDonough called him so affectionately earlier this season, is going over to London. He's 10 years removed from coaching. How is John Gruden from Oakland traveling all the way across America, then all the way across the pond, handling the London trip, James?
It's going to be difficult for John Gruden, Peter. Now, he mentioned this earlier this week. In June, he went over to go see his son Deuce, who's a part of their strength and conditioning staff, compete in a powerlifting competition. He took home gold, by the way, and that was a 14-hour flight to Europe both ways. John Gruden said he is not a good traveler. He gets claustrophobic. He is very worried about this trip. He said when he came back from that trip I mentioned, he had vertigo for about a month. He said he couldn't lay down. He said the house was spinning. This is a real concern for John Gruden. They're taking the approach that some of the teams that I've covered coming over here is get here as late as possible. They arrive Friday. They'll go through a light walkthrough, then have Saturday, play Sunday, and get out of town. So they're going for the approach of being here as little time as possible. But this is a concern for John Gruden. And as you mentioned, he's been out of coaching for most of this international travel. He did coach a preseason game in Tokyo and Mexico City. Mexico City, nothing like coming over here.
Raiders Seahawks, thanks so much for that insight, James Palmer. We'll be talking to you throughout the day, throughout the weekend, leading up to that Sunday bout, of course, between those two squads. Thanks so much. I'm looking over at Bart Scott before we hit the break really quick. He's more worried about the flight. You're more worried about what? I'm looking at your face this whole time we're hearing that report.
Well, it's tough because as you talk about the body clock, and when we used to travel from the East Coast to the West Coast, we kept our clock on the same East Coast time. That's harder to do because you're going to have the day and the night.
Yeah.
You know, it's about hydration. And I do like the fact that they're going to go over there later because your body doesn't have to adjust. The earlier you get over there, it's just natural. TV's on, you're waking up, you don't know what time it is. I spent some time over in Europe this summer, and it took me a week coming back to recover. So it's good that both of these teams have the bye week returning.
What do you think about a head coach having vertigo for a month after a flight like that?
That's just being old.
Right? Is that what that is?
That's age right
What do you think of a head coach trading their best pass rusher away this offseason?
Well, I hear that they're hard to come by.
Yeah.
I've heard. Especially when that guy's
More on that game.
MVP.
Just said Bart Scott's here the whole show, everybody. You can tweet questions, comments, whatever at #GMFB. Away from Thursday Night Football, you can see it right here on NFL Network coverage all day leading up to that 8 p.m. broadcast. Keep it right here. We'll be talking Eagles and Giants. Bart Scott is here, and it is time to fuel your hustle. Who needs to fuel their hustle? Presented by Oikos 000. We're breaking down the players who need to step up their game in Week 6. Kyle, who needs to fuel their hustle?
There was this great player out of Fresno State, second-round pick to the Raiders, kind of NFL royalty, likable, smart, live arm leader. His name was Derek Carr, and he was going to be the prince of the NFL, if not the king of the NFL. Right now, Derek Carr is second-rate, third-rate in his own division. He's behind Mahomes. He's behind Rivers. He's had a tough run. And that guy who we were celebrating as the next great quarterback became like an internet joke this week. He throws the interception in the red zone against the Chargers, and everybody pulls up this old quote from Derek Carr saying, I'm not going to be the guy who throws on the 1-yard line. I'm going to hand it to Marshawn. Everybody's freezing cold taking the hell out of him. I want to see Derek Carr pick it up because we celebrate him. We need to see more. We need to see better play, and I know that the line isn't great and blah, blah, blah. A lot of guys don't have great lines. I know this. John Gruden is going to Vegas. John Gruden's going to Vegas.
That's for sure.
Yes, we know that. We look at the deal. We look at the investment. He is going in a few years. I really want Derek Carr to go with him arm in arm, like conquering heroes. Because if you look at John Gruden, look at his quarterbacks he's won with. Which of these guys sound like a young, fiery Derek Carr? Brad Johnson, Rich Gannon, Jeff Garcia, Brian Greasy. Those are Gruden guys who he has gone to battle with. He likes them old. He likes them savvy. He doesn't like them throwing interceptions at the red zone. Yeah. I like Derek Carr. We got to pick this thing up. We got to pick it up fast. Home game against Seattle. I need to see the
London.
Prince. London, even better. We got to see it now.
Can you say "fuel your hustle" in a British accent?
Feel your hustle there, mate. Hello, governor. Feel that hustle.
That's Australia apps. That's 1,000.
Feel that hustle. Australian for hustle. Governor.
Say Oikos 000.
Oikos 000.
You're not the crocodile. What are you doing? Dundee.
Oh, that's a yogurt.
That's Australian. That's good. I like it.
That's all I got.
That's it.
I'm going to go with Rob Gronkowski here because there's this weird thing that's happening where people are comparing him to Travis Kelce, and I'm not quite ready for that conversation. I know that Gronk had a weird offseason. Trade, retire, had a brilliant week one, has sort of trailed off. How many highlights of Gronk have we showed on the show?
Not since week one.
No angry runs. That's what he does. He puts the team on his back and he overpowers everybody in the game. Then Jason Witten, I don't know if this got lost on everyone, the other night said that Travis Kelce is the best tight end in the National Football League. That is a crown that has been Gronk's since pretty much the second he stepped on the field back in 2010. And if we square them up a little bit, yeah, Travis Kelce, he had the opposite, a quiet week one, and now he's been crushing it. And if you look at them, yeah, it's a little bit even. Kelce's having a better year. By the way, the most unbelievable stat to me is that both these dudes are 29 years old.
No
they're both
kidding?
the same age.
And
So everyone's saying Travis Kelce's the next Gronk. No, they're the same age.
Yeah.
Gronk just had a 4-year start on you. Here's what I need from Rob Gronkowski up against a Kansas City defense that is nice in spots but still not scary. Now you've got Edelman. Now you've got Josh Gordon. You can't double team anybody or really everybody at all. Gronk, have a Gronk game. Be on angry runs. Maybe be on toe drag swag next week. Make sure that crown is yours and prove to everyone that you're still the top dog because you are. You do more things. You block. You're not just a receiver. You can carry that team on your back. I'd like to see you do it against Kansas City.
No doubt.
Tell you about, I hear you talking about top dogs. Well, the top dog in the pass rushing game for years has been Von Miller.
I like it.
Von Miller started this season on fire. He started with 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. Last 3 games, losing streak, no sacks against the New York Jets. And who paid the price? Bradley Roby, who got sixed up twice by Robbie Anderson. Last week, giving up almost 300 yards or over 300 yards on the ground. He's going to have to get to Jared Goff. He's going to have to remind us about who's the most dominant pass rusher in the game and maybe one of the best pass rushers of all time. How good is he? He's so good that he teaches pass rushing to other current players in the offseason with a pass rushing academy. Talk about a guy that not only can teach it, but also can do it. He's going to have to come back and be explosive, dominant, get some extra possessions for that struggling offense. Von Miller, where you at? Where you at?
I feel like the takeaway image for Von Miller this year has been him chasing Mahomes as Mahomes does the left-handed pass. That's been the image.
That's
you know what I mean?
Needs a bigger signature moment. Speaking of Mahomes goes into New England. You're talking about Gronkowski needs to step it up. It's funny. It's been kind of set up as Mahomes versus Brady, which it should be. They're 2 of the best quarterbacks in the league. But if you guys remember last year, week 1, Kareem Hunt went absolutely bonkers on the Patriots.
Catching it,
running it. His first career carry after never once fumbling in college. His first career carry was a fumble, and then he went berserk. 246 scrimmage yards, a career high, obviously. 3 total touchdowns, all in his first NFL game. Guys, he needs 116 scrimmage yards to go past Terrell Davis for the only player ever to have that many scrimmage yards, the most ever in his first 2 games against the Patriots.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I think Kareem Hunt is quietly coming on right now. He's got 376 rushing yards. He's 4th in the NFL. A little slow out of the gates because it was the Mahomes show. But I think this one, Okay, you're talking about Gronk and Kelsey. I think this one might be one on the ground also. And the Patriots have these great running backs.
Sonny Michel?
Kareem Hunt might be that guy. And if they are going to beat the Patriots, they need everyone to be playing at their best abilities. I think Kareem Hunt, he had a national coming out party last year in Foxborough, week 1, with Collinsworth and Michaels on the call. Guess what? It's his next season, year 2. Guess who's on the call? Michaels, Collinsworth in Foxborough.
Yes.
Kareem Hunt, go have a day, because everyone's talking about your rookie classmate from last year, Patrick Mahomes. I think Kareem Hunt still might be the gem of that draft class, 3rd round pick. Go have an afternoon.
Oh, another generational talent.
Generational talent. We only have
only the 3rd round, right?
Third rounder out of Toledo. Bartholomew and I were talking before the show and how that game's going to go, and we both agreed. Sonny Michel, who you love, what's the way we saw the Broncos do it with Philip Lindsay and Royce Freeman, keep Mahomes off the field. So they're going to run Sonny Michel a lot, and I love that you're bringing up Kareem Hunt. I forgot about that.
Generational talent.
They're all generational talents.
Yes, they are, and so are we. Hashtag GMFB. Counting down to Thursday Night Football here on the East Coast. The Eagles, the Super Bowl defending champs, trying to turn it around up against a Giants team that's got a little sizzle.
30 points last week, Kay.
For the first time in forever, like 36 games. Unbelievable. So we're excited about that, breaking it down from both sides, but we're also keeping our eyes peeled for everything going on all over the league, and that's why we have our guy, Will Selba.
All right, thank you, Kay. Appreciate that. The Cowboys receiving situation has turned into an American Horror Story apocalypse. The results have been nightmarish, to say the least. Their leading receiver, Cole Beasley, is tied for 79th in receiving yards. The Cowboys have never had a leading receiver that finished outside the top 50 in the league in receiving yards. It was enough for owner Jerry Jones to tell the team's flagship radio network that the Cowboys have not had a #1 receiver in years. This comment, of course, didn't sit well with Des Bryant. How did it sit with head coach Jason Garrett? We go right to the source.
It seems to be a term that people have used in recent years for the guy who was the marquee guy who, when an offensive team breaks the huddle, they have their eyes on him and they give him extra attention, special attention. He's the guy in the passing game that both the offense and defense's attention begins with. Difference-making guy who can beat you a lot of different ways, can have success against the attention he's getting, the double coverage, and all the different things that defenses try to do to him.
The Rams receiving core could be whole again for Sunday's game in Denver. Cooper Kupp and Brandon Cooks taking part in Wednesday's walkthrough, both of them suffering concussions against Seattle. Head coach Sean McVay saying unless there's any setbacks, they feel good about those guys being ready to go. Bears quarterback Mitch Trubisky is not taking off his arm sleeve, and don't you dare make him do it either. Not after he tossed 6 touchdowns in a demolition of the Bucs. Trubisky saying he's going to keep it on. He says it gives him a little more swag. The Bears are in South Florida to take on the Dolphins on Sunday. Trubisky wore the sleeve to keep a cut on his arm from opening up again. His teammates say there's no way he can take this sleeve off. So, hey, if it's working for you, why take it off? It has so far netted you some great results, so stay with it.
Magic sleeve.
Yeah, sleeve it alone, guys. Just
Sleeve it alone.
Hey.
Nice. Hey, you got jokes.
Guys,
Somebody's a writer.
It's time once again to announce the NFL Way to Play recipient for the week. The NFL has created the Way to Play initiative in order to promote correct playing technique. Each week, a panel of NFL legends will select a player who exemplified proper technique in an NFL game. That panel includes Hall of Famers Orlando Pace and Ronnie Lott, former NFL running back Merrill Hodge, former Colts head coach Chuck Pagano, and finally NFL Network's very own Willie McGinnis. The winner receives a personal letter from the commissioner as well as a $2,500 donation, the player's name, to a high school or youth football program of his choice. The NFL Way to Play recipient for Week 5 is...
You got it.
Cardinal safety Antoine Bethea. Here's how Antoine showed the way to play. Watch this one against the 49ers. A proper tackle. You see the C.J. Beathard goes back. Antoine Bethea is rushing the passer. If you watch him up front here, he comes in. Look how he hits Beathard. He's not looking to drill him into the ground. He, in fact, uses proper technique. That is not a penalty. It is the right way to play, to hit him in the right spot. Not the head, not the wrist, not the wrist. That is the spot to hit him. Good stuff from Antoine Bethea. He will now have a $2,500 donation to give to any youth program or a high school of his choice. Antoine Bethea is our winner of the Way to Play recipient award this week.
Okay, we cannot wait to find out who the NFL Way to Play participant or recipient is for the next week. What do you think of that play?
I think it was good. You talk about, I'm from the old school, so I'm used to a different way of playing. But, you talk about he got his head out the way. He didn't spear him, didn't use the crown of his helmet. I think he would want to try and get the ball out next time, so he might want to swipe first.
Your question, he needs even more to do.
How many play awards would you have won in your career, Bart?
Maybe one.
Maybe one? In all those years? That's all he takes. That's all he needs. Okay.
One is more than none.
1 in 11 years. No problem there. All right, we'll be back on Good Morning Football after this. Of course, previewing at Times Square, New York City, East Coast, and that's where we will have Thursday night action. Hours from now at MetLife, we'll go over the weather report. Kim Jones is on the ground. We got to talk Eagles and whether or not they can bounce back after a lot of injuries and not the best part of the season.
There's like tension right now because the Eagles are unraveling. The Giants fans are not happy. This is like the tension bowl to me on the East Coast with people who are usually just pretty chill and relaxed. Giants and Eagles laid back. Everyone's on a 10 right now. I feel like tonight's game is going to decide a lot of things.
This guy knows something about this market. Bart Scott joining us.
Oh, I tell you what, that nail is right there, right? Somebody's going to get that one nail in that coffin early. Last year it was a 61-yard field goal that kind of sunk the Giants. Last week it was a 63. Let's see how they respond to the game after, because if they lose this game, TikTok.
We'll see if they can build on that performance.
Can you dog mask your way out of 2-4 to start the season? I just don't think you can. I don't think it can happen. No mask, no speech.
It's not easy being the favorite,
I just feel like in this division, we don't know yet. We don't know what is what, and it's wide open. That's why it's so exciting. We are so pumped up and ready to go for Thursday night football. It is time for the
Lead Block.
Say it, Bart. Say lead block.
Lead block.
Good job. All right, let's bring in Kim Jones. She's there at MetLife getting us set for this game. And tonight the Giants do have something going for them. They get a huge piece of their defense back in Olivier Vernon. What does his presence mean for the Giants, and what does it mean for Carson Wentz?
Okay, the Giants hope it means that their defense gives up fewer than they're averaging, which is 25 points a game. And Carson Wentz, in his 3 starts back, the Eagles are 1-2 in those games, but he's had an above 100 passer rating under pressure in those contests. So he is still performing well under the heat of a defense. Now let's get to the most obvious change since I last joined you, and that's behind me. The tarp is now on the field. In fact, it's covering almost the entire field. They'll have the entire field covered relatively shortly. I'm told a downpour expected at 10:30, a thunderstorm perhaps, and then at 4 o'clock when Ian Rappaport will be joining me right here on this field, they are expecting heavy rain. So we all have that to look forward to today in what I would submit to you is an absolute must-win for the New York Giants. Sure, the Eagles would love to get their 3rd win and take the division lead, but for the 1-win Giants, an absolute must-win tonight, no matter the conditions, Kay.
We'll see if Eli and company can string together and build on that performance from Week 5. But despite a loss, there seems to be something galvanizing them, whether it was Odell or not. We'll dig into all of that and appreciate you, Kim Jones, for getting us set. Now, on the Eagles side, they're dealing with so many injuries. Eagles safety Rodney McLeod injured his knee Week 3 against the Colts. He's now out for the season. Look at the difference between the first 3 weeks and the last 2 weeks. The Eagles have allowed almost 60 more passing yards per game since McLeod went down. Meanwhile, Eli Manning's yards per attempt, his passer rating to wideout Odell Beckham this season, are at a career low. So to me, this comes down, it's going to be 2 things. It'll be Eli and Odell, and a little bit of Saquon, of course, up against that Eagles secondary. Who gets their groove back, guys?
Who gets it back?
It's funny. Kay, we've talked a lot about the Giants in the start of the show, but the Eagles, to me, are an even bigger problem. When you win a Super Bowl and you win it from having this incredible heroic run, this miraculous, and then the next year to come back, they're playing bad football. I went back and watched. That Ajayi fumble last week was a terrible fumble. They have had really inopportune turnovers. They've had horrible red zone play. This is not a Super Bowl championship team. And yet, like you said, no one in that division has played any better. The Giants haven't played better. The Redskins haven't played any better. And certainly the Cowboys haven't. No, not a missed opportunity. In fact, you look at it right now and you say, all right, here we go, Week 5. The defensive backfield can look at it and say, I know we've been lit up this season. We could turn things around. It's still in the middle of the fight. So I'm going to say the defensive backs have their way tonight with the Giants offense. And the reason why is because that front seven from the Eagles is going to dominate that Giants offensive line. The Giants offensive line is among the worst in the league. And unless Odell and Eli can find some magic powder from 4 days ago that they can keep on going, I don't see it happening. I think the Eagles have a field day and their defense finds their groove. The defending champions look like the defending champions tonight.
Bart?
Well, I think to your point, I think that they're going to be able to get to Eli, but I think they go back and when you look at that Eagles secondary, they're falling for the banana in the tailpipe. They're falling for double moves. They're sitting at the sticks and guys are falling for banana in the tailpipe. I think they go to that cover 2 defense.
Okay.
What's been giving the Giants so much problems because it forces you to methodically move the ball down the field. You're hoping that that struggling offensive line doesn't get a holding penalty, doesn't get a procedural penalty. So I'm thinking that the Eagles defense get their groove back, but I don't think it's enough to get the victory. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know yet.
I think we can upset
It's Eli and it's Odell. We're talking the secondary. They're banged up. Without McLeod over the last 2 weeks, they're allowing over 300 yards a game. I'm going to believe in the talent of Odell Beckham Jr. He's not had a great start to his season, and he only has 1 touchdown, but he's still 5th in receiving on the year. And we're talking rain, and they're not going to be able to get, rain doesn't matter to me in this game. You can speak to this a little bit, but rain at MetLife sounds to me like a slant taken 70 yards, 80 yards downfield by Odell Beckham Jr. That sounds like a perfect recipe and weather forecast for him to take one to the house, a short slant, and I think that's what we're going to see tonight. They find their groove because they have to, and they're too damn talented to not.
Normally I would completely agree with you because the Eagles secondary is like a wounded animal right now. But I just think Jim Schwartz is one of those guys at home who's just clicking refresh on the weather app and the Doppler. I think the coin toss tonight should come from Jim Cantori. I think we need Al Roker, Jillian Barbary. If you haven't been paying attention, 100% chance of rain, flash flood warning, potential flooding. I'm telling you, there is a chance. I know that they're without McLeod, but they do have the clouds. And I think that will be the biggest asset tonight because I know, Bart, you've talked about it, and I want to hear more. But there it is. That's a live shot, even though it's morning right now, of outside MetLife.
That's not real.
No, it's 100% real. We have a live feed.
That's from the day after tomorrow.
Prediction.
Emmy Rossum.
I'm just envisioning our producers Googling lightning strike.
Stock image lightning strike. They just tossed out Emmy Rossum, which I think should win an Emmy Award.
The day after tomorrow. Great movie. Tell me about the weather situation. Doesn't it sound like Odell, even if it can't go deep, they can just get it to him and down the field?
What people don't realize is the ball is easier to catch, I believe, when it's wet because, with these new gloves, they get sticky. You want to take off the sticky gloves. You want to go with the leather gloves. So leather on leather is going to stick. And also what happens with the rain, with all the draining systems, all the beads and the rubber beads, it takes the air pockets out. So now what happens is it compacts it. And now you actually have more tread than you would normally have if it was a dry, hot day. Because you see a hot, dry day, you see guys trying to turn the corner, and you see the beads flop up. You see it all over their face. When it rains, it actually compacts it. So I don't think the surface will be a problem.
Our field
You're like Mr.
specialist
Wizard.
here.
That was incredible. Sorry, Brinkus.
Sorry, John Brinkus. Exactly.
I stayed in a Holiday Inn Express.
Wow, Scott with the sports science. Gotta love that. We'll be back after this breaking down both sides of this match. He's a veteran.
Eli doesn't listen to Little Weezy.
No. He listens to Weezer.
He does listen to Weezer. Great cover, by the way. I retract my statement. It was good.
Oh, the cover of Africa,
yes.
fantastic.
I'm going to go with Eli Manning here because I know how much the city loves him. I know when he was benched for Geno Smith last year, this city was personally offended, insulted, hurt, in tears, and I want him to go and shut everybody up. I want him to say, you know what? We've seen Ryan Fitzpatrick play recklessly. Play reckless. Go out there, give it all you've got, whether this is your last season or one of your last seasons. Show them who you are, which is a 2-time Super Bowl champ, and that you can make big things happen in games, which he's done in his career. Let's go back to his rookie year, right? This team lost 8 straight going into week 17 of 2004. Guys, 8 straight games. He's looking for his first win as a starter. They're down 3. He leads them to the length of the field for this game-winning touchdown. He had guts here as a rookie to audible to run a play with 16 seconds and no timeouts left. Let's go and fast forward to the Super Bowl. Giants, of course, taking on the Patriots. This was the spoiler. Who thought that he could do this? Really think about that.
Nobody did.
Perform on this stage. They're trying to have an undefeated season. Not so fast. Fourth quarter, obviously, hits Tyree. They score the go-ahead touchdown.
And last.
Mr. Plexico. Eli wins his first Super Bowl. All right, let's fast forward to another non-Super Bowl game, 2011, Week 16, Giants-Jets. Giants were 7-7. Playoffs were in doubt. The sky is falling here in New York. He's probably all over the back pages, Triggs. Second quarter to who? Number 80, salsaing Victor Cruz.
You were right there, Bart.
I was on the sideline drinking Gatorade.
You were not a part of this play?
Yeah.
They took you out on the nickel?
Of course, they go on to win the game. They go on to win the NFC East. They go on to win the NFC title game. And they go on to win the Super Bowl.
Smith just tried.
Giants Pats, part 2. Fourth quarter, they're trailing 17-15. What's
Mario!
You mean Mario Manningham.
on the sideline? At this point, you know it's going to happen. And I'm not saying he's the same guy, but don't tell me that he doesn't have this in him. This is part of Eli Manning's story, his legacy, his DNA. Go out there, make plays. You have Odell. It's raining. What a perfect night to shut everybody out.
Nice.
Hey, I love it.
And all of those,
Here we go, Bart. Here we go.
in all of those highlights, he had an offensive line. He had a great offensive line those days. Those days are over.
I just want to see you go out there and play reckless.
Good luck, Chuck. I tell you what, he's looking at that rush now. I mean, I tell you what, he's taking a lot of body blows.
He's playing scared?
That was a lot of scar tissue. He had no scar tissue back then. He has plenty now.
He's playing scared?
I don't think he's playing scared. You always have to ask yourself, and we were talking about this in the back. You have to ask yourself, are you willing to pay the price? Are you willing to take the risk? And I don't know if he's willing to take the risk. As you become an older quarterback or older player, you have more things to play for. Early in a lot of those clips, he was playing for himself. That's all he had to worry about. Now he has a family. You see this happening with Ben Roethlisberger as well. He's starting to consider retirement all the time. You see he's checking himself out. The Ben Roethlisberger that I know would never put himself in a protocol. Right, but now with all the information, he's an older quarterback, and you got to understand they want to have a quality life after the fact. So now you see a lot of Eli chuck and duck. He'll fold up like a bad 10 if you get too close. Just blow him.
I just want to see him wear Odell's clothes after the get at the podium and wear.
I don't know if
Odell's
he can fit him, man. Odell wears some skinny jeans. I don't know.
Yes, I want to see Odell wear Eli's clothes. Hagar, you mentioned you want Eli to everybody to shut up. I want another guy to make everybody shut up. His name is Carson Wentz. Patrick Mahomes is so good, and Jared Goff is so good. It feels like Carson Wentz, there's always another pretty face in Hollywood. And next thing you know, it's Ansel Elgort is everywhere, Timothée Chalamet from Lady Bird. Carson Wentz is Michael B. He's been there before them. He's been there higher than them. Do you know Carson Wentz? We haven't talked about him a lot because they've been losing. Yeah. All he's done and come back from his huge reconstructive knee surgery, the last 2 games he has over 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. He's been Carson Wentz. He's been mobile. He's been clutch. He's been everything he could possibly do while he's been on his back. Carson Wentz was big before Goff was big before Mahomes, and we don't give it enough credit. Carson Wentz has not played a nationally televised game since like early December of last year. This is a big moment for him. Remember me, I'm Carson Wentz, and I was going to win the MVP last year. I'm the guy. I'm still the captain. My night. That's what I want to see.
Are you talking about Wentz or yourself, man? You sound like you're
question.
like a little therapy session going on right here.
That's it. I've never been replaced, though, Bart. I've always been here, dude.
That's another
I'm
pretty
always
face.
talking to myself. You're right. I've been told that many times.
What are you looking at, Trace?
There's a lot of different players in this game, and there's a lot of action on the field. But I think when it all comes down to it, with the spotlight of NFL Network Thursday night, Odell Beckham is going to put on a show.
What do you got?
I'm not sure it's necessarily one that the Giants fans are looking for. Odell, I feel like, is a little bit on tilt right now. This was the 6 months of the offseason. Odell was a choir boy saint. What Odell are we getting here? Everything's cool or everything's not cool? Because after the Lil Wayne interview with Josina, and then he started playing well on Sunday, but then this week there's talk that Pat Shurmur lit into him in the locker room, and this was the Odell that we saw a couple weeks ago.
Love him.
Odell's going to put on a show, good or bad. There's going to be something, and the way I see this going, and the way I think the Eagles are going to come out and play tonight, I'm not sure we're getting good Odell. I'm not sure we're getting the Odell of one-handed catches and kissing babies and smiling in the lot. This could get weird. This could get ugly. This could get the Odell that you didn't want to give $90 million to a couple of weeks ago. Odell's already on the back pages everywhere, and one of them says, "Save us." I think Odell's got to save himself.
Look at Eli. Why you don't put Eli face on there like that? That's so disrespectful to Eli.
I don't know. I think
Post wins that one.
Odell's going to put on a show. I don't know if it's a good show or bad show, but for some reason I feel like this might get a little weird and might get a little hairy early on in this one.
More on this game just ahead, but we also have to talk about the Marshawn Lynch revenge game. Up for Thursday night action, a wide open NFC East, and we've got the Eagles trying to bounce back. The Giants, Kim Jones is calling it a must-win situation. You guys also agree?
It's funny because in Philadelphia it's must-win. In New York, it's must-win. In Dallas this weekend, it's must-win. In Washington, the NFC East, it is not your father's NFC East. No team has a winning record. It's anybody's game, and here we are, week 6.
There's a debate about it, about whether or not it's a must-win, because even if you do lose, the division is so bad, it might take 9 wins to win the thing. So a team loses tonight, they could still steal it.
Yeah, but 1-5, you can't go 1-5, and just how important it is for Pat Shurmur. This is his first year. They have to. You want your team to buy in. To buy in, you have to have some success. At least you have to have the answers to the questions that they have. So it was great that they got 30 points last week, first time in 2.5 years. But your message runs cold because that locker room always divided. They want to see how you act in adverse situations. Their first mini crisis last week with Odell coming out and blaming the offense, the defense, the coordinators, the coaches, everybody but itself, can really fragment the team. So this is a big week for them just to feel like they can believe in something.
Nate's out today. Bart Scott is in for the next couple of hours here. Same swag, that's for sure. Let's bring it over to our generational talent out in L.A. Alpha, take it away.
Yeah, we're talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you, Kay. I love that as an intro for me. Appreciate that. When Falcons running back Devonta Freeman has been on the field this season, he's running at a career best 4.9 yards per attempt. Now, the problem is he's only been on the field for 2 of Atlanta's first 5 games. Freeman has missed 3 games with a knee injury, but showed up on the injury report Wednesday with a foot injury that caused him to miss practice. NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport reporting Freeman is battling a bone contusion, but did some work on the side. Vikings running back Dalvin Cook limited in practice on Wednesday as he continues to deal with a nagging hamstring injury. It's already forced him to miss 2 of the last 3 games. He has just 98 yards on 36 carries. Up next for Cook and the Vikings, Arizona. Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin will have less money in his bank account after criticizing the officiating following Sunday's win over the Falcons. NFL Network's Tom Pelissero reporting the league is fining Tomlin $25,000. Tomlin describing the questionable calls in that game as a, quote, joke. And our guy KB taking some heat for mispronouncing former Chargers kicker Rolf Benirschke's last name, but he made amends, and it even got a response on Twitter from Rolf himself. Love that Kyle Brandt finally nailed the pronunciation of Benirschke. Hope my experience is an encouragement to Mason Crosby. He also said, I'd love to take you up on it on a golf outing with Rolf Benirschke. So bridging people together here now, KB, you and Benirschke potentially playing golf. You made amends. You call him Benirschke. Whatever it was, you got his attention, and now he wants to play golf with you. Well done.
Thank you. If anybody didn't see this, Mason Crosby was the first person to miss 4 field goals and an extra point since Chargers kicker Rolf Benirschke. We pointed that out. I Benirschke'd him a million times. We've doubled back. We've reached out to him. He was also the host of Wheel of Fortune. We told the whole story. So I would love to play a round of golf with Rolf Benirschke. I will play it. I think maybe it should be on the Golf Channel. We should do a little special about it. If we have some people in high places, I would do it.
That's a great idea to put it on the Golf Channel.
It's going to have to be a long special because I shoot about 130. So guys, block out about 8 hours from my round. Rolf, it's on me.
Because in that time, you can get all of the Vanna White stories that I need you to dig up from that experience from him.
Vanna White, very special to my childhood. Very special. First Playboy. I'm not kidding. Not kidding. I wanted to solve that puzzle. I knew that.
You ain't the only one, bro.
Oh, boy.
Hey, Bart, my man.
Okay.
And I was a Vanessa Williams guy. Who knows?
And let's get at Wembley Stadium ahead of the Seahawks taking on the Raiders. And all I can think about, James, is how weird it's going to feel as a fan to watch Marshawn Lynch as a Seahawk go up again, or as a Raider go up against the Seahawks after so many great years, of course, in Seattle. How strange will it be for him?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Now, there's a couple things that play into this, Kay. Remember, this is a pretty young Seattle Seahawks team, so there's a lot of guys that weren't there when Marshawn Lynch was there. But the veteran guys like Russell Wilson, Doug Baldwin, and Pete Carroll also spoke this week about the return of Marshawn Lynch. And Carroll said he looks fast, he looks elusive, he looks like he's fitting into that system well, because remember, Tom Cable also with the Raiders. And Bobby Wagner put it maybe best. He said, he's breaking away from people. This is something I didn't see him do when he was my teammate with the Seahawks. He's running away from guys. But both Carroll and Wagner did say that they know that Lynch wants the football more. And obviously in this game on this field on Sunday, he's going to want the football a whole bunch going against his former team. And it's a little bit different, though, considering he's not going back to Seattle. His game is in London. There's a couple of variables, but a lot of guys in that Seattle locker room are going to be excited to see Marshawn Lynch and go against him.
James, I know you were watching I, Tonya on the flights. Not even Jeff Gillooly could take down Marshawn Lynch.
Great movie.
But they've been trying to fill that hole in the backfield ever since. This Chris Carson looks great. Is he the guy? Tell us who's going to be the group to do it if it's a group.
Yeah, you might be a little bit of a group, Kyle, but Chris Carson's definitely that guy. Remember what he did last year in training camp, coming out, winning the job, and then ends up getting hurt, and you've seen what he's done and what they've done running the football over the last 3 weeks. It's been absolutely fantastic the way that they've used the run to now help them in play action. They went through play action over half the time this past week against the Rams, so it's helping the pass game in a sense with Russell Wilson. If they continue to run the football well, it seems like, as Pete Carroll said, maybe they found their identity. Now, guys, speaking of the Seahawks, they have just landed here in London, and it literally have just landed. This is Blitz. Blitz, how was the flight? Are your arms tired?
Thumbs up.
Classic Blitz. Classic Blitz. Guys?
Classic Blitz.
Classic Blitz. Palmer, we love you. We know you're having a blast. Your third trip to London to cover games for the NFL, and we are all excited about the Lynch
It's so Blitz
game
of him, right? It's so Blitz.
It's classic Blitz.
After all these years, Blitz still with the classic.
And he's number #0. How wacky is it? I'm a Swoop the Eagle guy personally, but Blitz is what a cut up.
I wonder if he had a mid-flight meal.
That's it.
You think?
Little fish, little swoop.
Maybe so. Maybe so. I see you working, Bart.
I see what you're doing. A little of this. As we to Will Selva right now. He's in the newsroom in Los Angeles with everything going on across the league. Good morning, Will.
Classic Blitz. I mean, they must have been sitting next to each other on the flight watching I, Tonya, I'm assuming. But either way, the Cowboys passing game is not what it used to be. Currently ranked 30th in the NFL. The same cannot be said for the rushing attack that's led by Ezekiel Elliott. He ranks first in the NFL in rushing with 480 yards and says despite the team's struggles in the passing game, there's no finger pointing here. Somebody who is pointing fingers is Jaguars head coach Doug Marrone, but he's pointing his finger at Elliott as somebody his team will have to try and contain when the two teams square off on Sunday.
Probably the best running back in the league. Inside runner, outside runner, great out of the backfield, great hands, great in space. Probably there's not a run that he can't do. He can run people over, he can run by them. I've seen him run over them. He has a great stiff arm. Can't say enough good things about the guy. He's a load. He's tough.
As for the Jags, according to NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport, they'll be getting a visit today from former Giants tackle Eric Flowers, who cleared waivers. Jacksonville Executive Vice President of Football Operations Tom Coughlin was actually the Giants head coach when Flowers was taken in the first round of the 2015 NFL Draft. Eagles defensive end Michael Bennett might be having flashbacks tonight when they face the Giants. Bennett says Saquon Barkley reminds him of 3 Pro Bowl running backs. He says Barkley has the quick feet like Marshawn Lynch, the balance like LaShawn McCoy, and the speed like Jamal Charles, and the flying ability of Blitz. So Saquon Barkley truly is a generational talent when you put all of that together, guys.
Yeah.
He has it all.
Much like you.
Thank you.
Much like you, says Bart Scott, the 11th
Bart.
NFL
Right.
vet.
I
Love you, Will. We'll
Bart.
talk to you in a little bit. We are counting down to Thursday Night Football. Eagles, Giants. We've got Kim Jones joining us in a little bit to give us the update on what's going on out there at MetLife Live. Again, you can see that on Thursday Night Football at 8 p.m. Eastern on NFL Network. But let's talk more about that London game, guys.
Okay.
James, get right here on NFL Network coverage all day leading up to that 8 p.m. broadcast. Keep it right here. We'll be talking Eagles and Giants. Bart Scott is here, and it is time to fuel your hustle. Who needs to fuel their hustle? Presented by Oikos 000. We're breaking down the players who need to step up their game in Week 6. Kyle, who needs to fuel their hustle?
There was this great player out of Fresno State, second-round pick to the Raiders, kind of NFL royalty, likable, smart, live arm leader. His name was Derek Carr, and he was going to be the prince of the NFL, if not the king of the NFL. Right now, Derek Carr is second-rate, third-rate in his own division. He's behind Mahomes. He's behind Rivers. He's had a tough run. And that guy who we were celebrating as the next great quarterback became like an internet joke this week. He throws the interception in the red zone against the Chargers, and everybody pulls up this old quote from Derek Carr saying, I'm not going to be the guy who throws on the 1-yard line. I'm going to hand it to Marshawn. Everybody's freezing cold taking the hell out of him. I want to see Derek Carr pick it up because we celebrate him. We need to see more. We need to see better play, and I know that the line isn't great and blah, blah, blah. A lot of guys don't have great lines. I know this. John Gruden is going to Vegas. John Gruden's going to Vegas.
That's for sure.
Yes, we know that. We look at the deal. We look at the investment. He is going in a few years. I really want Derek Carr to go with him, arm in arm, like conquering heroes. Because if you look at John Gruden, look at his quarterbacks he's won with. Which of these guys sound like a young, fiery Derek Carr? Brad Johnson, Rich Gannon, Jeff Garcia, Brian Griese. Those are Gruden guys who he has gone to battle with. He likes them old. He likes them savvy. He doesn't like them throwing interceptions at the red zone.
Yeah.
I like Derek Carr. We got to pick this thing up, and we got to pick it up fast. Home game against Seattle. I need to see the future Prince. London, even better. We got to see it now.
Can you say "fuel your hustle" in a British accent?
Feel your hustle now, mate. Hello, governor. Feel that hustle.
That's Australia apps. That's 1,000.
Feel that hustle. Australian for hustle. Governor.
Say Oikos 000.
Oikos 000.
You're not the crocodile. What are you doing? Dundee.
Oh, that's a yogurt.
That's Australian. That's good. I like it.
That's all I got.
That's it.
I'm going to go with Rob Gronkowski here because there's this weird thing that's happening where people are comparing him to Travis Kelce, and I'm not quite ready for that conversation. I know that Gronk had a weird offseason. Trade, retire, had a brilliant week one, has sort of trailed off. How many highlights of Gronk have we showed on the show?
Not since week one.
No angry runs. That's what he does. He puts the team on his back and he overpowers everybody in the game. Then Jason Witten, I don't know if this got lost on everyone, the other night said that Travis Kelce is the best tight end in the National Football League. That is a crown that has been Gronk's since pretty much the second he stepped on the field back in 2010. And if we'd square them up a little bit, yeah, Travis Kelce, he had the opposite, a quiet week one, and now he's been crushing it. And if you look at them, yeah, it's a little bit even. Kelce's having a better year. By the way, the most unbelievable stat to me is that both these dudes are 29 years old.
No
they're both
kidding?
the same age.
And
So
they're both
everyone's
87.
saying Travis Kelce's the next Gronk. No, they're the same age.
Yeah.
Gronk just had a 4-year start on you. Here's what I need from Rob Gronkowski. Up against a Kansas City defense that is nice in spots but still not scary. Now you've got Edelman. Now you've got Josh Gordon. You can't double team anybody or really everybody at all. Gronk, have a Gronk game. Be on angry runs. Maybe be on toe drag swag next week. Make sure that that crown is yours and prove to everyone that you're still the top dog because you are. You do more things. You block. You're not just a receiver. You can carry that team on your back. I'd like to see you do it against Kansas City.
No doubt.
Gronk game.
Tell you about, I hear you talking about top dogs. Well, the top dog in the pass rushing game for years has been Von Miller.
I like it.
Von Miller started this season on fire. He started with 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. Last 3 games, losing streak, no sacks against the New York Jets. And who paid the price? Bradley Roby, who got sixed up twice by Robbie Anderson. Last week, giving up almost 300 yards or over 300 yards on the ground. He's going to have to get to Jared Goff. He's going to have to remind us about who's the most dominant pass rusher in the game and maybe one of the best pass rushers of all time. How good is he? He's so good that he teaches pass rushing to other current players in the offseason with a pass rushing academy. Talk about a guy that not only can teach it, but also can do it. He's going to have to come back and be explosive, dominant, get some extra possessions for that struggling offense. Von Miller, where you at?
Where you at? I feel like the takeaway image for Von Miller this year has been him chasing Mahomes as Mahomes does the left-handed pass. That's been the image.
That's
you know what I mean?
Needs a bigger signature moment. Speaking of Mahomes goes into New England. You're talking about Gronkowski needs to step it up. It's funny. It's been kind of set up as Mahomes versus Brady, which it should be. They're 2 of the best quarterbacks in the league. But if you guys remember last year, week 1, Kareem Hunt went absolutely bonkers on the Patriots.
Catching it.
Running it. His first career carry after never once fumbling in college. His first career carry was a fumble, and then he went berserk. 246 scrimmage yards, a career high, obviously. 3 total touchdowns, all in his first NFL game. Guys, he needs 116 scrimmage yards to go past Terrell Davis for the only player ever to have that many scrimmage yards, the most ever in his first 2 games against the Patriots.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I think Kareem Hunt is quietly coming on right now. He's got 376 rushing yards. He's 4th in the NFL. A little slow out of the gates because it was the Mahomes show. But I think this one, Okay, you're talking about Gronk and Kelsey. I think this one might be one on the ground also. And the Patriots have these great running backs.
Sony Michel?
Kareem Hunt might be that guy. And if they are going to beat the Patriots, they need everyone to be playing at their best abilities. I think Kareem Hunt, he had a national coming out party last year in Foxborough, week 1, with Collinsworth and Michaels on the call. Guess what? It's his next season, year 2. Guess who's on the call? Michaels, Collinsworth in Foxborough.
Yes.
Kareem Hunt, go have a day, because everyone's talking about your rookie classmate from last year, Patrick Mahomes. I think Kareem Hunt still might be the gem of that draft class, 3rd round pick. Go have an afternoon.
Oh, another generational talent.
Generational talent. We only have
only the 3rd round, right?
Third rounder out of Toledo. Bartholomew and I were talking before the show and how that game's going to go, and we both agreed. Sony Michel, who you love, what's the way we saw the Broncos do it with Philip Lindsay and Royce Freeman, keep Mahomes off the field. So they're going to run Sony Michel a lot, and I love that you're bringing up Kareem Hunt. I forgot about that.
Generational
brilliant
talent.
game.
They're all generational talents.
Yes, they are, and so are we. Hashtag GMFB. All right, you're talking about Von Miller. Well, the Rams...
Some of your fantasy football season. You're heading into week 6. Your team is looking good, but you have so many questions. Fortunately, we have the answers. So we decided to take 3 of your questions and 3 topics that have been tweeted to the show. We'll put our resident fantasy expert, Ms. Kay Adams, to the test in this week's edition of the world-renowned Shreddy or Not.
And of course, we have to reveal the Shreddy of the day. I was
first Shreddy.
It's just an honor for me, Kay. Here we go.
Do you know who's on it?
I don't know. Here's the Shredder. And who is the Shreddy?
Mr. Shred.
Mr.
Shred.
A talking horse.
A horse, of course. Wilbur. This is great.
Was not familiar with him.
Oh, yeah.
You are. The show was about the misadventures of a wisecracking talking horse and its human owner.
Yes, Wilbur.
Wilbur, Mr. Shred.
Takes for
He wasn't
days,
real?
Mr. Ed, yes.
What do we got?
Before Kamara and Ingram, there was Wilbur and Shred.
By the way, thank you everyone on Twitter. We got like 100 responses. They were
Suggestions?
all hilarious. But I went with this one, but we'll do it again next week.
Good. First up, Kay, let's get right into it. Okay, here we go. I've got this piece of paper in my hands, and it says Philip Lindsay, the breakout rookie running back for the Denver Broncos, will have his 2nd career 100-yard rushing game against the Rams defense, possibly in the snow up in Denver. Kay, I give this to you. Will Lindsay do it?
Week 2 against the Raiders, so this would be his 2nd 100-yard rushing game. I'm not going to show
Oh,
you.
spare.
I think it could happen.
I think it's going to happen because he has the 4th best yards per carry mark in the league right now, guys, with 5.75 yards per carry. He can run, unfortunately for me, because I thought Royce Freeman was going to be a thing. He keeps taking work out of the mouth of Freeman because he's outworking him. And the Rams, by the way, just surrendered over 100 yards on 19 carries to Chris Carson. This team, if you look at the Rams right now, as far as yards per carry allowed, they're allowing, let's take a look, 5 yards a pop. That is the 4th worst in the league. He's 4th best, they're 4th worst. I think that equals at least 100 yards against the Rams, because also I think there is something to maybe them wanting to run the ball a little bit more. Case Keenum not playing as well as expected, going up against the Rams defense and the Rams offense that frankly you don't want on the field.
Spare him the Shredder. Bart, what do you got?
All right, I guess I'm up next. All right, Bears running back Tariq Cohen is coming off a bye, but the last time we saw him on the field, he was lighting up the Buccaneers defense.
174 yards total.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see. Is he a top 10 back this week? Shreddy or not?
I like it, Bart.
Oh,
You got to get I'm going to say, and there's so many questions on Twitter about this because he had that brilliant game before the bye, and they're like, shoot, do I start playing him instead of Jordan Howard? I have to shred this. And Little Smokey.
So explosive.
Shredded Smokey. Right.
But if you look at his play week to week, I just cannot buy into the consistency. Taking a look at his numbers, they're great, they're not so great. So even though he was amazing last time we saw him on the field, I don't like the consistency. And Jordan Howard, listen, he's there in the backfield. And if you look at the matchup up against the Dolphins, you've got guys like Marshawn Lynch, guys like Joe Mixon have run on Miami. And the kind of skill set that they have is really more suited for Jordan Howard to come back and have a breakout game. So I believe it'll be more of a Jordan Howard game than Tariq Cohen. Obviously, this is a week where you've got the Saints on bye. You can't play Ingram. You can't play Kamara. So if you have to play Tariq Cohen as your flex, your RB3, even your RB2, you'll be okay. But I don't think he'll be a top 10 running back when all is said and done.
I love the trolling going on. Tariq Cohen tweeted out a pic saying, "Who's bigger than me?" And Ty Gurley responded, "Everybody."
That's good.
I mean, we love him, but in fantasy, would you play him?
No, Matt Nagy, I think, loves this conversation. I think he has us right where he wants us because we don't know what the hell's going on. That's exactly what he wants. Unpredictable.
He's there Tariq Hill. He's there Tariq Hill and DeAnthony Thomas. He's their gadget guy. All right. Explosive play.
At running back. He's playing the role sort of that I thought Taylor Gabriel would be playing consistently, but you're right, Nagy has me thinking, what am I doing here? But hopefully, give Jordan Howard the ball.
Yeah, and this week Taylor Gabriel could play the Taylor Gabriel.
100%.
We don't know. Let's talk about the superstars. Let's talk about the QB1s.
Okay, what do you got?
A couple of guys who could be the Shred X Aaron Brown winner of the week. Tom Brady outscores Patrick Mahomes on Sunday night. The big one, Kay Adams.
You guys just gave me this one because you want me to pick Tom Brady over Patrick Mahomes.
Do what you will.
Tom Brady will outscore him on Sunday night in Foxborough.
Mm-hmm. Can you do it in the Mr. Ed voice?
There it goes.
Do it in the Mr. Ed voice.
Twitter tweeted Mr. Ed. That's so weird.
This is whoever sent this in. Champagne problem.
Whoa, Wilbur.
Looking at NFL.com rankings right now, this is the 1 and 2 quarterback, respectively. And it will be a pew-pew high-scoring game in Foxy Town. However, you can't, at this point, go against Patrick Mahomes. He's been crushing it week in, week out from a fantasy perspective, not coming off a great output against the Jags, but still, the Jags defense is not the Patriots defense. You can throw on this team, and I think obviously they will employ Kareem Hunt and Sony Michel on the other side, respectively. Or is Tom Brady going to say, "Oh, you think you're coming for my crown? Sure. I'm going to throw the ball all over the field, and I've got 3 wide receivers to do it. I've got Josh Gordon, I've got my guy Edel's back, and I've now got Gronk." And I don't know. I just feel like he's going to be throwing a ton.
The only thing that
terrifies
me about Mahomes, if I don't know, is the Kareem Hunt factor. He's my biggest enemy as a fantasy owner of Mahomes because he could have the monster game that we've been waiting for.
But he's been far and away the highest scoring fantasy quarterback this season. It would be irresponsible as a fantasy owner to take him out of your lineup.
The data's starting to fill up.
Really in any matchup. What?
The data's starting to fill up.
Well, it's got a thing here that defensive coordinators now have 4 games and 5 games and 6 games that you see tendencies. You see where he likes to roll.
We all get the pie chart.
We all get the pie chart. The numbers start to dip. The question is, can Andy Reid keep him afloat and get it creative enough where there is nothing you can predict?
Well, we saw this offense last year get off to a fast start, and it started with really destroying the Patriots, who really can't have a pass rush, but they continually circled the defense and got outside. You got to believe that Bill's going to shore that up and take that away this year.
You think that the Patriots could have the personnel to slow down Mahomes and that speed of that offense?
Oh, not at all. The best defense for the Patriots is the offense.
Yeah.
Do they do the whole 30 carry game, 40 carry game where they feature the running backs and keep Mahomes on the sideline, which puts tremendous pressure on him when he's behind to get in? And does he believe in that arm too much and take too many chances?
In other words, play Sony Michel, who's emerged as their feature back out of nowhere, but because they usually don't have one, but he is a generational talent. All right, I found one just laying around. Pizza and beer are acceptable first date.
This is a debate
options.
on our show.
You missed this? Take a look. Just get up to speed.
First date with a young lady and you take her to pizza and beer?
Yeah. What do you want? A pheasant under glass?
Yeah, we're taking her to Tavern on the Green. We're taking her to a
Jones in Santa Monica. It's a great place, Peter. It's a lot of first dates ended up in a 5th date.
Did you pick her up or you tell her to take an Uber? What was?
Bart, I've heard from these two. It is almost about to be shredded. What do you got?
How old are we in high school? what are we doing? You can't mess up your clothes. There's sloppy eating going on right there. You got to take her somewhere with some music where you can get a little ambiance, or maybe a movie, not pizza and beer.
Sorry, I'm not taking my dates at the French Laundry on a private jet like Schrager and Bart. You find out if she can drink, if she can eat, if she can play darts, you can make out at the table.
I love pizza. I love beer.
Adams!
Are you guys kidding?
They got a coupon?
Bring it tonight on the road. They're here on the East Coast at MetLife. It's Thursday night football, baby. We've got you covered from every side of the ball, along with Bart Scott this morning. Hey, Bart.
I'm having a good time.
Are you?
Are you?
I appreciate it. You're good. Pizza on a date, though. I don't know.
Nah, we're still on the pizza on the date.
Your first date was 18 and you married your wife.
Lunchables?
Yes,
yeah,
Lunchables, yes, and Capri Sun.
He's got baloney takes on takes from Bart Scott today.
Right.
Peter Schrager, Kyle Brandt. My name is Kay Adams. We've got so much to talk about, so let's do it with the lead
block.
Thanks so much. Bringing in Kim Jones. She's at MetLife tonight. Talking Giants here. They get a huge piece of their defense back in Olivier Vernon. So what does his presence mean for the Giants? And, of course, for Carson Wentz. And then I know that you have something on Lane Johnson as well to share.
Yeah, Kay, in terms of OV, he returns, makes his season debut, and the Giants hope he can help a defense that's giving up an average of 25 points per game. Significantly for Carson Wentz and the Eagles, Lane Johnson, the starting right tackle, has been added this morning to the injury report as questionable. Ian Rappaport says it is a high ankle issue that has flared up. Ian also reporting that it's an uphill battle for Johnson to play, but he will try. So certainly, Ian's going to actually join me here this afternoon, and we'll have further coverage on that as we get closer to game time. In the midst of all of this, Kay, I think the weather is going to be a headline today all day. The tarp's on the field. There are tractors on the tarp. Thunderstorms in the forecast all night long. So we'll see how that affects tonight's all-important game. It's an all-important game for both teams, especially the Giants, and we'll see the role the weather plays in this one.
Must have been for the Giants. Likely they have a running back named Saquon Barkley who turned it up last week and, of course, can handle those duties if the weather does affect. But if you ask Bart Scott, it won't affect any of the gameplay. We'll get into all of that, and we appreciate you, Kim Jones. It's a classic divisional rivalry.
Giants get blown out tonight in their building. This city might melt with people saying, what the hell did we do the past 6 months? We hired a 67-year-old general manager. We brought in a new head coach who's not one of the young, flashy offensive minds. He's an older offensive mind. And we stayed with an Eli Manning at 37 years old who did not play his best football last year. And, oh, yeah, we passed on 4 quarterbacks. This could be one of those games where we wake up Friday morning and the Yankees are out of the playoffs and the Mets are long out of it. And it is all Giants misery. And this the whole season is another one like last year where we're questioning what the heck happened. It could all happen tonight on Thursday Night Football.
The Giants have made the playoffs once in the last 6 seasons. I feel like the Eagles won the Super Bowl. That buys them a little bit of time here.
It could. I can see it that way, too. But I am going to go with the Eagles because reasonable expectations for the Giants, if they made the wild card, man, this was a great season we got in the playoffs. The Philadelphia Eagles, this is the next step in a dynasty. This is the next Super Bowl. They were greasing the polls 2-4. I mean, it makes me think of the Carolina Panthers, who got to the Super Bowl and Cam's here.
They didn't win it.
They didn't win it, but they were there, and they were the coolest team in the league, and they had the mojo, and the next season out, flat. Just not there, not having it. You don't think there's going to be a panic in Philadelphia if they start 2-4 and lose to these Giants? Yeah. I think it's Philadelphia. Question of expectations. Anything less than a Super Bowl victory this year is disappointing. At this point, they're not getting to the wild card.
I want to talk Philly. I want to talk New York and keep that going for round 2 of this. And I want to talk iconic duos musically from both. On one side, coming out of Philadelphia is Hall & Oates or Biggie and Puffy from the Big Apple. Round 2, Schrags fight.
Well,
choose your next words carefully, Peter.
Puffy and Biggie, they, all the death row stuff, right over here. This
death row?
Right
you switch coasts.
This is fine. But I'm a Hall & Oates guy. I mean, shocker. I love Hall & Oates. I've seen them live 10 times. They're fantastic. We can go from Rich Girl to Maneater to the entire genre. I'm going Hall & Oates, iconic duo, although I do have a strong place in my heart, mid-90s rap, and I love Puffy and Biggie.
Puffy and Biggie, bad boy, right?
Yes. What I said.
Death row.
It's okay.
How much I love them.
It's okay.
Oh, Peter, stay out of SoCal right now.
I can't go for that as one of my favorite songs of all time.
You can't go for that? No can do.
Their best of Hall & Oates is amazing, but you got to go Puffy and Biggie.
How come?
I just feel like they have more jams. If you're taking a road trip, are you listening to Hall & Oates or are you listening to Puffy and Biggie?
I'm listening to Hall & Oates. I got kids in the back of the car. I'm listening to the Moana soundtrack, if you ask me. I think legacy and everything, inspiration, you go with Puffy and Biggie, but as far as pure listenable hits,
yeah.
They were doing hit after hit. Do you know the song Man-Eater is actually about New York City? It's not about a woman. It's about this. She only comes out at night. It's all, whoa, here she comes. Okay, no, I'm not going to touch that. I think it's about right behind you. Bart, are you going to go with Hall & Oates?
I rock with Hall & Oates. I love Man.
My man!
But I can't. Come on, disrespectful. Come on, I'm all urbaned out right here. I got to go Biggie and Puffy. But I'm surprised we didn't throw Wu-Tang in there.
Okay, let's talk Shaolin.
Sure,
let's go 36 swords. What do you got?
Ghostface Killer.
We have turn around. We have people waving their hands. Frank is waving his hands like, thank you, Wu-Tang.
Wu-Tang. Come on.
He's raising the roof now.
RZA, Jizza, Ghostface. Now they're doing soundtracks for movies.
Sure.
You got Method Man. He's in your living room now. Disrespectful that he's not in.
Can they stand up to Philadelphia Big Willie Styling?
Was there a hi-hat too?
He's not in it. Really? Young Yachty. Disrespectful.
Little Yachty.
Yeah, Little Yachty. I'm messing up. Yeah, Little Yachty.
A lot of Moana happening in your family vehicle?
We listen to so much Dwayne Johnson. You're welcome.
No, I hate that. What's the new one about dying? Kobe. Never.
Coco. Baby shark.
Okay, but we can all agree that Will Smith as the genie in Aladdin is going to be amazing, right?
Fantastic.
We can all agree on that?
Yes.
All right, let's have one more round here. Next, we're talking one of the most anticipated matchups of the week. We can't talk enough about Mahomes, the youngster, going into Foxborough to take on the GOAT, Tom Brady. What is more impressive? I sort of posed the question earlier. Yeah. Is it Mahomes at 23 and what he's doing, taking the league by storm, or Tom Brady at 41, Bart?
It's got to be Tom Brady, right? Because I know he's pliable. He doesn't eat nightshade vegetables or whatever that is. But, it's really, he's a Jedi right now. And you look at him, you look at Breeze, you look at Rivers, you look at Ben, and what you see is you see guys that have mastered the position and being able to do the little things. I can't leave Aaron Rodgers out. I think that the football acumen of today's athlete are a lot lower than the old guys because we do the thinking for them. Mahomes coming in the system where he's getting a lot of the answers. You think about Jared Goff. Right now, Tom Brady is just so masterful being able to catch you, changing pitch. You talk about pitchers, right? How they change speeds, fastball, breaking ball, cutters, all those type of things. He does all the little things well, and I think that's the greatest sign of greatness.
I have to ask you, with Patrick Mahomes, there's this whole, what he's doing. Have you seen it before? Deshaun Watson, guys come in and take the league by storm. Or is Patrick Mahomes sort of doing something that you haven't seen that separates him from those other guys who have come in and had success and taken the league by storm?
Well, Carson Wentz, I think
RG3 did it.
I think he's doing more. And when you think about those guys, Ben, was improvising. He was getting out of the pocket, playing, schoolhouse ball. He really didn't do a lot his first year with his arm. I think Mahomes, we've never seen a young quarterback do more with his arm. And he's doing more with his arm than all those other guys. You think about Deshaun Watson. You think about even, Cam Newton's first game when he threw for over 300 yards against Green Bay. But this guy's different. We've always criticized guys coming out of the spread offense saying that they don't play defense in the Big 12. He's come from a spread offense, and he's been the only quarterback that's been successful, especially early in his career.
I agree. And I'm going to take the Mahomes side on this. And, of course, Tom Brady's a legend, and I'm not questioning that. But the fact that we do see a Drew Brees performing at the way he is at that age now, and we do see a Ben Roethlisberger still competing at a high level, I haven't. You mentioned Robert Griffin, and Dak Prescott's been mentioned, Deshaun Watson.
He's different.
Flacco.
Those are all solid quarterbacks the rookie year with great supporting guys. Patrick Mahomes, with the arm and with the way he's running Andy Reid's offense, I think is a generational talent. Don't laugh. I think this guy is the next in line.
Between the years.
To do it at 23 years old, in his first 5 games as a pro, to come in and shatter records. That's the thing. It's different. These other guys played well in 1 game. He's shattering records, and he's running Andy Reid's offense as well, if not better, than Donovan McNabb did, than Alex Smith did, than Michael Vick did. I think this guy is the best quarterback in football right now, and I think he's the best 23-year-old quarterback. I'm saying right now, playing, not all, I mean,
today. Just week 5,
right
now,
week 6, through week 5.
Do you
he's the
agree
MVP
with that?
Well, I don't agree with that, but I think it's one quarterback that has come in. I think Andrew Luck rookie year, where he was just throwing the ball all over the place, playoffs and all that type of stuff. I think he was
pretty
the only
good company,
one that was able to do it. Yeah, absolutely.
Look, we're all entertained as hell what he can do at an early age, but the 41-year-old thing. I'm 39. Let me talk to the dads out there. I got a bad leg. I run out of breath getting the mail. And many nights looking at my wife being like, is it too early to go to bed? And she's like, yeah, it's 7:15. I'm exhausted. Yeah. He's older than me. I'm not getting hit. I'm not getting run down. 41 years old. You 41-year-olds out there, can you imagine playing quarterback in the NFL at an MVP level? It's a joke. I love Mahomes. It is Brady. And he's got no signs of slowing down. Do it at 45.
Nobody's doing what he's doing at 41. Nobody's ever done it before. But I like what you're saying. I remember when we were talking about the draft and where Patrick Mahomes is going to be taken, and we all said, what is it going to take for him to be taken somewhere earlier than the 3rd, 4th round? Winning it at the whiteboard, going up and drawing plays and having it between the ears. That's what somebody like that would have to do to get drafted. He clearly crushed it. They trade up to get him, and it's paying off on the field. So it's that mentality too, and being able to run this creative offense that Andy Reid has that does separate him from the other
Credit to Alex Smith as well, and Matt Nagy, and all the guys last year who got to let him sit and learn. He's so different than all these other guys. I can't wait for this game Sunday night. It is going to be so good, and I think Mahomes brings it. I think Brady does too.
I can't wait for kickoff to Week 6 tonight on NFL Network with Thursday night action. Let's bring in the rap sheet. He'll be joining Kim Jones in just a little bit at MetLife, but we are lucky enough to have him grace us with his presence to give us the goods on Lane Johnson, and then we'll get to the rap battle, of course. But Lane Johnson, I know he's on the Eagles injury report. That's what she told us. But what's going on with the right tackle for the Eagles?
Yeah, as long as I get to address the ridiculous Hall Notes picks in a second, let's talk about Lane Johnson. And this is something that now has become an issue. Lane Johnson has been battling, I'm told, a high ankle sprain really for the last, say, several days. It's something that did flare up last night and tonight. And generally, when a player gets added to the injury report right before a game, it is bad news. And this one sounds to me, based on what I know, like bad news. This was described as something that would be difficult for Lane Johnson to play through. If he can walk, if he can somehow get out there, he is going to push to play. He's one of the toughest dudes around. But this one is going to be challenging, which means the Eagles could very well have Big V stepping in at right tackle for a game that is clearly huge for them. Obviously, much less than ideal circumstances for Philly.
And we'll see you live from MetLife a little bit later, but let's talk about Sean McVay. We know he's an offensive genius, the reigning coach of the year. Is there a chance that he'll have Brandon Cooks and Cooper Kupp at his disposal Sunday in Denver?
At this point, it is best described as up in the air. Now, McVay, Kay, has been pretty hopeful as far as the concussion symptoms or lack of symptoms that Cooper Kupp and Brandon Cooks are battling. He said on Monday, said again yesterday, that these two guys are not showing a lot of symptoms, that he was hopeful they would be able to play on Sunday. But remember, this is not like an ankle sprain or a hamstring. It's a concussion. It's a brain injury, and no one really knows how they are going to heal. To that end, neither of these guys practiced yesterday. A lot of other veterans had rest days. Very few people did practice for the Rams, but notable that these two guys did not. You have to imagine if they're not able to get on the field today, then certainly they will have a big-time uphill battle to be out there on Sunday. Obviously something we are monitoring, but at this point, the Rams could still be shorthanded when they end up playing on Sunday.
Depth clearly an issue that Schrager's been pointing out all season long, but they'll have to have some of those guys step up if they are not ready to go. All right, Hall & Oates or Puffy and Biggie?
Take that, take that.
So insulting. Look, I think everyone knows I'm bad boy for life, right? I mean, I think that's been pretty obvious. Biggie is my guy, the greatest rapper of all time. Now that Puffy and I became friends when he was trying to buy the Panthers, we talked during the Super Bowl. I told him my favorite Puffy song was Senorita. He loved it. I'm going to go Biggie and Puff. I mean, come on. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. What a name drop there.
Big name drop. I do have inside information, though, Ian. I heard that when you met your wife, Leah, you convinced her to go out with you by telling her, your kiss is on my list.
That's it.
I heard it. Don't lie, Ian.
Private eyes.
I heard
That's a true story?
That's false.
I thought you made it.
I will tell you this. Here, I'll tell you this. During the birth of our second child, Jude, we were playing rap music in the delivery room. That is true.
Coolest couple in the world. Coolest family in the world.
Gin and juice.
I played Push It by Salt and Pepper.
No, you didn't.
Wife wanted to kick my butt.
You're lying.
I was in there dancing.
Is that a true story?
Yeah, I played Push It.
What is wrong with you people? All right,
I got sense.
I played Over Now by Allison Chains.
We'll see you at MetLife. Shout out to Leah Rappaport. All right, we'll be back after this. People are already putting Halloween decorations up.
The hell with them.
I guess.
No, we're doing it ourselves. We got gourds for days at our house.
Morning football. We are loving your tweets this morning. Peter Schrager, Kyle Brandt, Bart Scott, myself, Kay Adams. I have this guy named Callum saying, hey, Kay, can you tell Kyle that just because there's a game in London doesn't mean he can keep butchering my accent? It's painful.
I do my best.
That was all right.
Yeah, I think of the Mary Poppins chim chimney chim 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 chim. This is they have a cane and they dance with the cane.
Bloat, right?
They're
Bloat.
chimney Swiss. Hey, bloat. Yeah.
Bloat.
I thought you sounded like Frank Bruno. You sounded very good, like the old boxer Frank Bruno, very regal. And, you know,
I thought it sounded like Sacha Baron Cohen's Bruno.
Okay, that's
what I'm trying to do. Dolce & Gabbana, hello. I'm working on it. I got time.
Let's bring in Will Selva out in the newsroom in Los Angeles with the latest and greatest. Hey, Will.
All right, thank you, Kay. Appreciate that. Well, quarterback Deshaun Watson's start to the season giving Texans fans flashbacks to the David Carr days when he was sacked a record 76 times in 2002. Now, through 5 games, Watson has been sacked 18 times and hit 55. Both. That they are very passionate sports fans. I think there's going to be more scoring in the Sunday night game between KC and New England. Kay, you worked in that market. How are they going to play this over there?
They're going to watch both. Just like Gronk said, they'll make it happen. I would just watch football because I love football. But Bart is saying that that fan base isn't fervent. They're, what did you call them?
They're spoiled.
Spoiled, Will.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're in the window. They're in the window. They're great. I mean, it's great to be a Boston fan for the last 20 years with the Patriots and Big Papi and all the good stuff going on. You just got to get picture, much like we see you and we see ourselves. Picture.
It's really tough for those fans.
No, it's funny. You're right. Like, ninth inning, they were in this nail biter, and all the Boston fans are like, oh, my God, all these demons were exercised. Like, You guys have won 7,000 championships in the last decade. Like, okay.
Now the worst part is the Eastern Conference is wide open too.
That's it.
Look out. Brad Stevens.
Here we go.
Look out.
Celtics might win
that kid
again.
fan that has all the champions
I know
on
the
his
kid.
jersey. You know the kid.
Oh, yeah,
We've talked about the kid.
we've talked about the kid. We tried to get a picture of the kid on the show.
Didn't work.
No,
Didn't work?
Not approved. No. There's a backstory to that.
You know where you might see that picture?
No.
On the NFL app.
Hell yes,
It
I would
might be
hope.
on the stadium. It is a rivalry that includes the miracle at the Meadowlands and Deshaun Jackson's game-winning punt return touchdown
best.
as well. Carissa Thompson took a drive with Eagles defensive end Chris Long, who spoke about the Giants' two-time Super Bowl MVP, Eli Manning.
You're going to get the Giants. That's always a good NFC East battle. Why do you guys have difficulty with Eli Manning? Because last year you guys had a tough time with him.
Probably a Hall of Fame quarterback, wouldn't you say?
I don't know. I mean,
Turn the interview back to
no,
you.
please ask me all the questions you want.
I think he's a Hall of Famer. He's seen every coverage. He's very poised.
Does anything bother Eli? I'm always like, what?
From his facial expressions, I don't think he gets bothered by a lot.
Anything.
He knows when he plays us, the rush is going to be there.
Yeah.
And, our front four is as good as any in football. And so he's going to get the ball out with timing and breaking routes.
Eli Manning has thrown 3 touchdown passes here in the fourth quarter.
Now he's got Barkley and so.
Speaking of which, you guys are really good against the run, and you know he's going to try to run.
I would say, hey, the kid looks really talented, and his cuts are unbelievable. Like when I look at him on tape, just seeing some of his jump cuts, and you're going to have to be cognizant of the fact that he can bounce it at any time.
Touchdown, Saquon Barkley.
You can gear up for the Giants and Eagles Thursday night football matchup by watching that full episode of that drive to Thursday nights, streaming right now on Amazon Prime Video, and then catch the game tonight on Fox, on NFL Network, and streaming on Amazon Prime Video. Therefore, ergo, I cannot wait. How about an NFC East team to emerge as a contender? Can you guys wait for somebody to finally rise to the top?
Who's the champion, Bart? Who do you got?
Tell you what, I can wait because in being in the radio business, I need the Giants to be relevant so we can get some calls. So they're still recovering from the Yankees loss. I need the Giants to be relevant at least in November.
Right. That's it.
Screw up my ratings.
I'm with him as well. I guess I can't wait. I think what would be really interesting is if all these teams are 7-7, 8-6, as we head into December and January, and all of a sudden these games they're playing each other weeks 15 and 16.
Yeah.
I can wait. I don't need a runaway champion right now. Let's see January football.
I can wait too. Bart, there's also a radio topic of the Giants being absolutely terrible. The tire fire topic is great for the phone bank, dude. Don't sleep on that.
Well, that'll be there in December. I need that there in December.
Okay, I think it will be.
I don't want them burnt out in November.
I can wait. I don't want to burn out. I'm just loving that these are these plastic knives?
Yes. They're all
heavy duty.
I think it's
heavy duty too.
A spork or
Why
knife
not?
food.
All right, a knife food.
It's like Dr. Seuss kitchen over here. I don't know what it is.
Next up on the waiting game here, the Le'Veon Bell saga to end. I cannot wait because I'm so tired of it.
Yeah, I hear that.
It's never ending.
I can wait. And you know that topic drives me crazy. But the topic, we don't talk about that much anymore. We went through the heyday of the Le'Veon Bell every segment of this show. I'm fine. I can wait. And I like watching James Conner run a lot. I'm fine with it. Go ahead and do whatever you want to do. I'm waiting.
I can't wait. I feel like we need that second gear for the Steelers. They're kind of meddling along here. They're getting wins. I think if Le'Veon comes back and everyone's saying, how's he going to look? If he's refreshed, it makes for great content. If he comes back overweight or out of shape and not ready for football,
great content.
It makes for great content. So I'm going to say I can't wait. Le'Veon, come back. I don't know what you look like right now, but I'm curious to see.
I can't wait because I can't wait to see where Le'Veon goes because I believe if I'm the Green Bay Packers, I have 2 first-round draft picks. I'm giving up a 2 for Le'Veon Bell so that I can take the workload off Aaron Rodgers so that you can turn around and for once the Green Bay Packers can carry Aaron Rodgers to the playoffs and then they'll be my Super Bowl favorite.
It would be a fun storyline if Le'Veon got traded. The next few weeks, we got to week 8 where he can really do it.
I'll give up a first.
Would you give up a first for Le'Veon Bell? Have you not seen him?
You have 2 of them.
You only get him for 10 weeks.
You have 2 of them. You have this much of a window with Aaron Rodgers. He's always hurt. You need to protect him. Go get Le'Veon Bell. Let him carry you to the playoffs and let Aaron Rodgers carry you through. You got 2 first-round draft picks next year.
Bart, are you worried about how he shows up? It's interesting, Peter. I know you're not on Instagram. typically these guys do a lot of these workout photos, show how ripped they are.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's doing it, I don't follow him, but normally they're broadcasting, look at me, I'm ready.
He'll be fine. I'll see how he's received, because if I'm Le'Veon, I got some words to talk about Foster. You're not qualified to talk about.
Here we go.
You're not qualified to talk about my contract, big boy. You've never been considered top 3 in your position in anything at no level in your game.
My man.
You don't talk about my money.
Ramon Foster, hello.
This is the Bart on the field. I like
This is the Bart Scott we wanted. Here he is.
Listen, you don't talk about another man's money. I think that's disrespectful.
Can't stop a nosebleed.
I'm making money, man. Let's make another T-shirt.
I love it.
It has been a year of ties and overtimes. Can you guys wait or not wait for the next tie in the NFL?
Can't wait. Can't wait. I'm here for the ties. What I'm waiting for is the rare double tie or the triple tie, because back to the content of the show, this is all building up to heading into week 17 when P. Schrags over there is going to have to give us the playoff scenarios. They're going to be rocket science times astrophysics.
Common opponents.
I like it. It's fun.
I can't balance my checkbook, let alone figure out what the and one's going to mean in
the third column.
No, thank you.
I'm going to say I can wait. I'll tell you why. I love the late fourth quarter decision making. We had to see Jason Garrett. What are you going to do? He punted. Wait, see Frank Reich. What are you going to do? He went for it.
Yeah.
If they want to have a tie, that's fine. We can go to bed and we can do it. I like this suspenseful feeling of you got to try to win this game. And so far, coaches have and have not gone for it.
I can't wait. I think Cleveland's been on deck 2 weeks in a row. I think last week they could have had it, and we all know that 2 halves make a whole.
Hey.
So I want to see where it's one. When you look at their record, it's not a half anymore. It's a whole, but it's because of 2 ties.
I like it.
You're in the media now. You see from our perspective. Let's move on to Michael Thomas and Josh Norman. That Twitter beef was amazing. Can you wait for another Twitter beef between 2 players? I cannot wait. I love seeing this stuff week in, week out.
I love these Twitter thugs, man. It's the new millennials, man.
What do you mean?
I mean, you look at Jamal Adams and the week before D.D. Westbrook and their Twitter beef. Like they're communicating and beefing on Twitter.
What would you have been like if Twitter was at its prime when you were playing?
Well, I come from the Joey Porter school of thought. I'll just pull up. We can handle this.
No Twitter.
Yeah, we can do this face to face.
And it's not hashtag pull up. It's like you're actually.
There's no emoji.
Yeah, what up? No.
Here's your hashtag.
It's a text. There's a text.
I can't wait for it. You know, it's funny. Yesterday, D'Angelo Hall came out and Josh Norman and said that Josh Norman's gone Hollywood. And Josh Norman bit back and was like, you recruited me to play. Like, this thing is going to keep on going. I'm just curious to see how this Josh Norman season keeps on going, because he's one of the highest paid cornerbacks in the league. He's running his mouth, and now it feels like he's a piñata. People are taking Josh Norman on. Let's see how he responds.
And he plays his old team this weekend. I'm going to say can't wait. I love these things. I will say the one thing where they lose me is when they get into, now hold on, I wasn't covering you there. This coverage there. That was a cover 3 versus.
They PFF it up.
Yeah. They PFF it up, and I love the PFF, but not in my beefs. You know what I'm saying? I keep that coverage out of the beef. Just man.
I also don't like the beef on Twitter, and then they're exchanging jerseys 2 hours later.
I hate that.
I feel like it's WWE, and I don't want to say.
I don't ever want to see a jersey exchange.
I hate this new generation never exchanged jerseys with anybody.
Thank you. I hate it.
I don't even want to high five you, bro. Peace, deuces. See you next time.
Schrags goes, keep it salty.
Keep it salty.
Keep it salty. We brought Salt Bae back. Why not?
He's been away.
That was late 2000s. How about early 80s, guys? 80s classics are being remade all over the place. So, can you wait for the premiere of Top Gun 2 or not?
You can't beat the sequel.
I can wait.
You can't beat the original, man. Goose and all that stuff. Sometimes you gotta let stuff stay. It's funny because as we have kids, you see some of the old things coming back. Transformers. My son's trying to tell me about Transformers. Like I didn't have the convertible semi with Optimus Prime. I can wait for this one because you're not going to do it justice. Only one. Your sequels never work.
It wasn't asking to be remade.
Mav, the instructor. Listen. It's about who comes back.
Is that what he is? He's an instructor?
That's the rumor, yeah. I mean, Charlie, I don't know what she's up to right now. Merlin just tweets on politics a lot. Iceman, last I heard, he was the world's foremost Mark Twain impersonator. I'm not kidding. I think he was also the world's only Mark Twain impersonator. And then Slider, last I heard, he was doing that Bike Cop show or something like that. And I love Rozovich as much as the next guy, but I can wait, and I hope I do.
I can wait as well. I'm not for all this. I watched the Murphy Brown, the Will and Grace. I'm good. Let's get some new stuff.
Is Logan's back?
Brown?
Yeah, Murphy Brown. Let's just
What's old is new. What's new is
every
old.
bus in New York.
I wanted Murphy Brown to be great. We'll see.
Yeah, and now it's under the bus, right?
You two
Martin's coming back. Come on.
Is it?
Son.
You two are both hilarious.
You
two will see that movie.
Top Gun 2?
Yes.
Oh, I'm a complete sap.
I saw Book Club.
Pretty
I'll see every movie.
Here's I'm So Pretty on a plane.
I saw I'm So Pretty.
Yes.
Loved it.
We'll be back after Bart's like, sounds good. Let's get to break here. Evan Ingram kickoff
Pizza,
on the
right?
East Coast tonight. Pizza, beer.
That's it. That's it. First dates.
Pizza, beer, Vanna White. Those are the things
Hey.
I talked about on the show today that I did not expect, Will.
Well, I think Brazilian steakhouses were what Bart and Peter were thinking, right? I mean, I have nothing against the pizza and beer thing. It just depends, you know, who you're with. You know, it's a nice casual thing, so I'm not totally against
First
it
date
either,
at Fogo de
guys.
Chao.
No, too much salt.
Ooh. Love a Brazilian steakhouse. I love it. Well, either way, the season's starting to play out much like the last one for the Broncos. In 2017, they started 3-1 before losing 8 straight games. Fast forward to this season where Denver won his first 2 games before dropping the next 3. After falling to the Jets last Sunday, the Broncos have lost 9 of 10 road games under head coach Vance Joseph. Next up is a home game against the undefeated Rams, as Joseph hints the team could be looking to shake up the lineup to change their luck.
I'll say this about our football team, okay? We have to fix ourselves first, okay, before we can talk about beating the Rams, okay? We have to go back to the drawing board and fix our football team here, okay? But I feel that way every week. That's just me. Okay, I believe in our football team, but right now we got to play a better brand of football. I didn't see the same grit. So we have to get back to that first, fixing the Broncos first. It's all being considered. You know, we're still watching the tape and kind of figure out what's the best course of action, but it's all being considered.
Some not so good news for the Eagles, as offensive tackle Lane Johnson has shown up on the injury report. According to NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport, Johnson dealing with a high ankle sprain that flared up. He will test it pregame, but his status for tonight's game not looking good. Meanwhile, Giants tight end Evan Engram ruled out for tonight's game against the Eagles, a knee injury continuing to hobble him. He hasn't seen any game action since the Week 3 win over the Texans. He has 10 grabs for 104 yards and 1 touchdown this season. And check out who showed up at Brown's practice facility here Wednesday. Snoop Dogg jumping on that bandwagon, making an appearance there in Berea. Not sure now this will sit well with Steelers fans, as Snoop has been a longtime fan of the Steelers. Now, head coach Hugh Jackson saying he's known Snoop for quite a while and thought it was great, but said, quote, at the same time, there are going to be a lot of people that want to come be on this wagon when the wagon gets rolling, and we're going to circle the wagon. I know that because I didn't see any of these people the last 2 years. Either way, we see D-O-double-G hanging out with the Ravens, with the Patriots. We've seen him with the Rams. It's like half of the NFL he's into, right? And I get it, maybe Dog Pound,
He's the new
Dog Father. You know,
I was about to say that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just he's always on a bandwagon, right? So
Bart, don't bring Drake up at this table. I'm telling you.
No,
it's weird.
It's
He's the mush. Drake's the mush.
100%. This is a pretty big heel turn. These are two rivals.
These are rival teams. The Steelers, he proclaims. What are you? I can't tell.
That's disrespectful, man. He's on the bandwagon. Hugh, how about a little humble pie, bro? I know you popped the beers open. Hugh's my guy. He was always with me in Baltimore. But come on, man. You won 2 games, bro. Let's pump your brakes a little bit. Let's get to the playoffs. Let's have a winning record before you start talking about a bandwagon. Really?
They have more wins than they've had in the past 2 years. I'd celebrate too, I think.
And as far as
Snoop, he was on
like,
deck too.
He might actually think he is at Steelers practice. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think he might think this is the Steelers. He's on the bandwagon. He's on a lot of things.
I don't know what you mean. What do you
I'll
mean?
tell you in the commercial break.
Okay. Todd Gurley found the end zone.
It's a very cool era for the rushing title because anybody can win it. Case in point, Kareem Hunt last year out of nowhere. So we decided to name a segment after him we call In the Hunt. Here's what we did. Before the season started, Peter, Kay, Nate, and myself each drafted a running back, or 3 rather, who we thought would have the best shot to win the rushing title this year. Here's who we drafted. Peter started in the upper left with Kareem Hunt. It snaked all the way back. Your Gurleys, your Le'Veons, Saquons, and I ended with Kerryon Johnson and Kay with Royce Freeman.
Bart destroyed running backs for 11 years in the NFL. I'm sure he loves this segment.
Get in on this, Bart. This is Wheelhouse Views. What we're doing is we're checking each week how our team, our horses are running. Let's go to the races. Through the first several weeks of the season. We call it In the Hunt, raise the curtain, and away they go.
Peter, Nate, Kay, Bart, check it out. Look at this.
Get him, Le'Veon. Get him.
Le'Veon won't get out of the gates.
Slow out the gates.
He's not far behind Leonard Fournette, unfortunately, with the injury, or Dalvin Cook. It's Zeke, it's Gurley, it's Zeke, and Ezekiel Elliott out in front. Peter, take us through Team Schrager.
I love my team. I love where we're sitting right now. Saquon's hitting his stride. He's going to have a night tonight. Kareem Hunt suddenly back in the mix, and hanging in there. David Johnson. Cardinals got to win.
My guy Jordan Howard's hanging in there. Came off a bye, so he's trailing. He's got the Dolphins this week. Let's go, J-Ho.
What do you think, Bart?
I think my favorite is going to be Zeke because the other teams, he's the only one who doesn't have the options. You know, you think about the Rams, they got other options. Zeke is the only option for the Dallas Cowboys, and I think they're going to get more and more RPOs for Dak Prescott.
Exactly right. Isaiah Crowell at third after a 200-yard game. Not on the board, guys. That'll do it.
A little earlier, we showed you an excerpt of the drive that Carissa Thompson took with Eagles defensive end Chris Long. He spoke favorably about opposing Giants QB Eli Manning. Now listen as Chris talked about the key stop against Tom Brady in Super Bowl 52.
Do you guys feel pressure then because you are the defending Super Bowl champs? Like, is there that feeling?
I think this team deals with it pretty well. I think it starts with our head coach. Like, Doug's real chill.
He seems great.
He's real chill.
You want Philly food?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Think of all the stuff we had to overcome last year, all the injuries. Like, when you look at it on paper, it's insane.
You won the Super Bowl with your backup.
Well, not
to minimize, because Nick did an incredible job, but if you just tell me that Carson Wentz is going to go down.
Most people wrote us off.
Yeah, I mean, last year, like in the Super Bowl, you guys just never felt like you were going to.
No, I mean, it got kind of hairy there in the second half when the GOAT was like just dealing and we couldn't get a stop. Eventually, we just knew we'd make that one big play.
Brady back again. He steps up his head.
He fumbled it.
And he fumbles the football, and the Eagles have it.
We got it. We got the ball.
Is Tom Brady he's got to be your number one, right, to go up against?
Yeah, he's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. This guy's pretty good at life, too. So
there's that.
He's a life GOAT.
Love that. You can gear up for the Giants and the Eagles TNF matchup by watching the full episode of The Drive to Thursday night. You can stream it now on Amazon Prime Video, then catch the game on Amazon Prime on Fox and on NFL Network. That's pretty cool.
Very cool. I'm going to look at the game tonight quickly. I think the best player on the field will be Fletcher Cox. The Giants have a bad offensive line. I think he dominates. I think the Eagles win a close one.
I think Odell's going to have a minor meltdown, and everyone in the morning is going to say, what's wrong with Eli, and not look at the wide receiver again. What do you got?
Bad secondary, no Jay Ajayi. You're going to have to adjust. On the road, I got to go with the Giants.
I'm going to go with the Giants here, too. I think Eli shows out. He has in big spots before. Eli galvanized the team. Good or not, it's going to happen tonight at home for the Giants. They're going to stay alive in an open NFC East. Enjoy the game. We'll see you with highlights tomorrow. Keep it here on NFL Network.